Good morning and welcome to Brandenburg News Network. I am Donna Brandenburg, and it is the 29th day of July 2024, and I'm very happy everybody's here today. First guests on are Jason Ickes and Stanley Leszewski, and I'm very happy to talk with them today. And then the second hour at 10 o'clock is a very dear friend of mine, and his name is Chris Deal. And I think that everybody's seen me. We traveled together when I was running for governor, and it was my security. And I think that his background, he's got such a proud military background, and he's a very, very good person just as a person. He stands for something. I mean, it's really amazing to actually find people who actually stand for something. And I'm proud to have everybody know him like I know him, because he's truly a brother in this fight for saving America. And he's got some interesting perspectives. He was in Vietnam, and he is a Marine and has served in many, many different capacities through the United States over the years, and has some unique perspective on what's going on in the global arena right now. So he's going to be on at 10 o'clock. But we're going to start out right off this morning with my buddies, Jason and Stanley. How you guys doing?
Good morning.
Wonderful.
Good. What's on your mind today? I've got a lot on my mind. Starting with the fact that I've made a recommitment to the gym. I used to do powerlifting when I was younger, and I worked out when I was in my 30s. I'm 60 now, so my motivation is a little bit less than it was then. But I worked out. I did about 462 reps a workout 6 days a week, and somewhere around between an hour and a half of cardio a day. So I was in competition shape, which no longer is the case. So I decided that I need to get rid of my fluffies this week and get back in the gym a little bit and try to get things back on track. But one of the things that really came to mind is that we're in a war, and I think the two of you are good ones to talk about this. They have made everyone believe that it's okay to be in a shape that makes you a sitting duck, to kill you because you're not in good enough shape to survive in a hostile environment.
Sorry, Donna, did you say something about body positivity?
Yeah, I'm saying it's a bunch of crap. It's like that body positivity crap is what the globalists want to say, so that they can kill you because you can't run to get away from them, or be able to be in shape enough to take care of yourself, grow your own food, and all that sort of thing. It's a death sentence to believe this thing. And I mean, I really do believe that we're in a war right now, which means everyone needs to get combat ready for survival. Whether you walk, you get your diet under control, you drink a lot of water and such. It's easy to be out of shape and fluffy if you're relying on someone else all the time to take care of you in a hostile situation. But pretty extra sure, if you're in a situation where you've got to perform 8 to 10 hours a day just for survival, if you're not in shape, you're not going to make it, because people that are in shape will not have the stamina to carry themselves as well as yourself. And so I think that we need to address some of these problems and just be honest. If somebody's talking about body positivity, it's okay to be out of shape and such. It's just that you're a better person, an easier person for the bad guys to take out. And that's how I feel about it. Am I right or wrong, guys?
I can agree with you.
Yeah, obviously it's your body's a temple. You should take care of it regardless. So the thing that you're going, the whole reason for taking care of your body, besides the fact that it's a temple and you should take care of it, it's also a machine that helps you get everything done. And if you're not, providing proper maintenance and care, it's going to fail on you in the moment of need or in crisis. So it is absolutely essential that you take care of that.
Yeah, people in the chat are laughing that I'm fluffy. That's my word for when you take your clothes off and nobody sees what you see, and you go, "Oh God, what happened to me?" Right? It's time to actually do something and get off your little fluffy behind and get moving, right? So I went to the gym this morning. I'm going to try to do I like it when I can do a 5K in the morning. And then if I can get some weights in, that's great. But right now, if I do that in the morning and then hit it at night with some weights, I used to do that at night where I'd have like 5 to 10 pounds, and I can't do that now, but I'd walk for 2 miles with 5 to 10 pounds that I would be throwing around. And that really works good. But you don't even have to go crazy on it. You just got to start and do something, right?
Yeah.
And then there are buddies that shame you for being weak and whiny when you go to the gym and you whine. So I have that. It's like we get in the gym and we're like, okay, stop crying in the gym, get going. And it's really a motivation thing. It's not really a shame thing. It's good natured humor between friends who know that, we're there to make sure that each other is at our best because we really do care. It's not something to tear you down. It's something to say, hey, buddy, get moving here. I love you enough to not want to see you die.
If you met me about 6 years ago, you probably would have thought I was a different person. I was 485 pounds walking with a cane. And, that's something I put first before anything is my health today. I explain to people, your body's not a garbage can. What you put into it matters, from the water you drink to every bite of food you put in. But, it pretty much goes to the same, mentally. You got to be careful about what you put into your mind, what you allow yourself to believe. Like, we go back to those ideologies that are out there in society. It's toxic for the mind and toxic for your life. Just like, a lot of the food that we put in our bodies.
Yeah.
So it's an attack mentally, spiritually, and physically.
I gotta tell you, I just got a text in. So I'm glad you're watching, my friend. And he knows who I am. So he sent me, he said, what kind of reinforcement do you need, you fat pig?
I'm in a gym every day as well, 2-3 hours as long as I can. It's my enjoyment. That's my release. I save a lot on bail money by going to the gym. And I remember when I first came back in and, they counted me out. They're like, your time is limited on this planet, Stan. You eventually, going to have a heart attack or stroke. And when I walked out of that emergency room that day, and I never looked back over my shoulder, I dug deep. I prayed to God. And little by little, I built myself up. I remember the first day about 5 years ago walking into the gym again. And it was a struggle to curl 20 pounds. And, today I could lay on a bench press and bench press 315 pounds like it's 2 loaves of bread.
Yeah.
Well, it's like everything in life. What you put in is what you're going to get out of it. So what you do for your body is going to reflect on you long term.
And you feel good. It gets your mind into a positive state. I mean, when you move, everything works better. And it doesn't matter if, whatever state anyone is at, you got to keep moving. And the more you move and take that, I was talking to a guy this week, and I'm all kinds of obsessed on how to do things the old way. I have been my entire life. I like all the old skills and all, I like.
They call it poor man's plastic surgery. Go to the gym.
Yeah, there you go. And so I like all the old ways. So I met a guy that I want to get into fish farming. Okay, I think that's kind of cool. There's a lot of things that I would like to do, but fish farming is one of them. And he was talking about the fact that, and I know he has no technology. Is real interesting guy, real super interesting guy, right? And he was like, yeah, I said, I just want to go live out in the woods by myself. I like to cook, but I only have myself to cook for. And I'm like, dude, go bake a pie and bring it to one of your neighbors. If you enjoy your hobby, take your hobby and benefit those around you. It's so amazing. And if you spend 5 seconds showing somebody you give a crap about them, you could change their entire life. And it might just be so much as baking a batch of cookies, bringing them something from your garden, which everyone should be growing something. There's no excuse for this. We've all got like a postage stamp. If you're in an apartment, you can do microgreens. If you're in outside, and it's fun. It's something you can learn to do. Throw a tomato plant in somewhere. Everybody can do something. You could, another thing, Jerusalem artichokes and or amaranth in Michigan. Go throw some friggin' seeds and tubers out there. You'll have food.
Hey, tubers, look. Potatoes. I'm Irish. I'm growing potatoes in the backyard now.
Right.
I got to come visit you guys.
Yeah. Well, you should see my potatoes or our potatoes. It's amazing. But, you can take those and whatever you have left. It's like, with me and my chickens, I got so many friggin' eggs. It's not even, not even conceivable, which is why people come to my house to eat. Right. And, but we just give it away. We give our stuff away because I want to make sure that I'm thinking ahead of time, because the system's going to crash. It's not sustainable. They've done it before. The pattern is there. And if you don't get ahead of this, and I mean every single one of us, and you're hungry or you have a problem, it's all on you. The warnings have been out there for a long time. And there's a lot of us have been trying to help people and tell them, don't do the clot shot. We've been saying that. The masks are crap. They're trying to get your brain to fry through psychological means. Stand up for what you believe in. Don't think about it just for yourself, but for everybody around you. We have to do that.
Right. In this psychological warfare that's being waged, something that I noticed that the left is trying to do is they're trying to shape the environment by labeling people. You know how you always have that crazy uncle? Now they're calling them the MAGA uncle. So what they're doing, just like they shamed black people who are conservative by being an Uncle Tom, they're saying a MAGA uncle, right? Their tricks never change. They sound a little different.
Yeah, they're not real bright. They just want to make you feel bad. And if you don't feel bad about what they say and don't buy into it, just let them be stupid. Let them own their stupidness. And and if somebody says something, stand up for yourself. I had a tenant issue this weekend and this last week, and this person was letting their dog pee on the floor of the common areas and didn't see anything wrong with that, made excuses for it. Nice person. He came back, we talked later and apologized and was like, I'm just under a lot of stress. And I said, I get it. We all are under stress. I don't hold grudges for it. But in the conversation, I'm like, you can't let your dog piss on the floor here. And I have all the other people have to walk over it. And he's like, oh, the word you said. And I'm like, just so you know, I identify as a person who says whatever the hell I want to say. And you're going to have to deal with that. Because I'm pretty extra sure you're listening to HBO or whatever nonsense that's out there. I don't listen to any of it. I don't do TV, right? But I'm like, you can watch all these other things and then come back and say, we all are grown-ups. We've all heard the adult words. And when somebody says something, to melt down to stop them from saying what they want, you don't have to like it. But it's part of our society. I mean, you go in certain areas, if you don't say the F word every other third word, they think there's something wrong with your brain. It's part of their speech pattern,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like, I'm not going to tell them not to say it. I'm not going to say it or say that to tell people what to say. You say whatever you want to say, and I'll either deal with it. And if I don't want to be around it, I'll go find friends that don't say those things or do. To me, I don't get offended. I could care less.
Yeah, it's just different when you try to have an intelligent conversation, and it's impossible to convey a message because the language barrier is one of caustic animosity, and instead of being able to find relatable grounds to talk, and that's what as you talk about societal collapse type things and building community. That's one of the things that we have to contend with is our ability to communicate with one another in difficult situations. Some people don't want to be told that they're a marshmallow. Some people don't want to be told that they need to eat something. You need to eat. There are plenty of, that's what you said and addressed one side of the problem. But the other side is that all of those who are anorexic, that, they're throwing up. They don't want food. They don't want to eat. They're literally dying. They're killing themselves off.
It's suicide over time.
That has a lot to do with mental health. A lot of people have a lot of issues, and society is a concoction of everything. So we can only be a reflection of how we want society to be. If you're a good person, have good morals, good virtues, and you live in a good godly life, you pretty much carry a message in its own way. You don't have to preach a sermon or anything, just by genuinely being a good person, and being around other people, that kind of rubs off on them. There's a saying, like, show me your friends, I'll tell you who you are. But, society has a lot of problems in America. And, it comes down to a whole list of multiple factors, from politics to substance abuse, to even like the influences from external, foreign countries. Look at what's happening in Venezuela. with this election.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, that should be a mirror right now for everybody in America, because that's what's to come.
You know what? I don't think Donald saw me.
Going to the gym and preparing, you know, because when shit hits the fan and everything's going crazy out in the street, you know, who's going to be standing there? You know, who's going to have a chance when you're living on a diet of McDonald's and a 99-cent menu every day, and you're smoking and drinking every day? You know, you're not going to have a chance. And you know, I have an open mind, and I know anything is possible in life. And you know, you get China and Russia right off the coast of Florida, and you're down in Venezuela, and the border's open, and you know, all it takes is for one bomb to go off in America and an invasion to start. You know, what are you going to do?
What were you going to say, Jason?
But how are you prepared?
What were you going to say, Jason?
So I wasn't sure if Donna, if you had seen this or not, but goons of Maduro's in Venezuela were taking the polling box, straight up stealing the poll. They stopped the vote again in the middle at night after the voting should have already been done. They went into the polling places and they started taking the ballot boxes with all the ballots out of the polling locations, and they declared Maduro the winner.
They sent the military around the voting locations and prevented the people from coming in. Nobody was allowed in. Nobody could see anything. It sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Just like down here, I got a call from Jeff, you know, and a message. He's like, "Oh man, they banned me on Twitter for some tweet about voting." And you know, I looked, and it was about Mi Familia Voter down here in Florida, registering people. And he was like, "Stan, I need you to do something for me." I'm like, "No problem." I already knew what he wanted me to do. So, you know, I had to stop in the middle of what I was doing, because it's really important, you know, to bring transparency and let people see what the hell's going on. So it just so happened I lost my wallet not too long ago, and my ID, everything. And I went down to one of the motor vehicle locations where they had tables set up. And, you know, if you watch the video, I walked up. I was like, "Listen, I lost my wallet, my ID. I have nothing. I'm from Jersey. I live down here in Florida. I need to register to vote." And without a social security card or anything, and I could have been anyone from anywhere. They registered me, and you know, it wasn't a problem. It was 30 seconds, sign here, and the lady signed off, and I walked away. But what I noticed as I was approaching them, you know, it was mostly all ethnic people lining up, and they were coming in. You know, there was a lot of them, and there was people sitting to the side. I didn't know if they were DMV customers or they were with the organization that was registering them. But when I approached the workers,
being sent up outside the DMV.
There's a delay here, so you guys are going to have to take a little bit of turns because for some reason there's a delay going on. So
sorry about that. But yeah, you know, it was too easy, and I wondered why they would have, you know, an organization registering people to vote when motor vehicle does that, don't they?
Exactly.
There's no control over this at all. Go ahead, Jason.
Yeah, I was going to say. So there's two. I have huge problems with two things. Mail-in ballots, right? You don't need to use the postal system, because guess what? You should have a Secretary of State's office. Drop off your ballot at the same agency that's responsible for tallying the votes, instead of letting a third agency have a go at managing that. You're adding layers to the chain of custody, which adds more opportunity for nefarious actors to do bad things, or just for normal negligence and clerical errors, you name it, whatever else. Every time you add another layer, it adds more problems. And why would, if you're going to implement that system, not have the same agency that's responsible for tallying them maintain those? Take that whole extra layer out. You should have, the only place there should be a drop box is at the Secretary of State's office, the county clerk's office, the people who actually maintain the ballots anyway. And then on top of that, we have the voter registration. Why is anybody registering people to vote outside of the organization that's responsible for actually maintaining the books? No one should outside of that organization, because now you create opportunities for nefarious bad actors or just clerical errors, right? And that's plausible deniability is what it's called. And if you create a cutout to go do nefarious things, then that's exactly what you want. This private-public partnership, which is setting these nonprofit organizations out to do the government's work is a dereliction of duty. You're responsible for making sure all the people in your district that want to be registered to vote are able to vote and are registered to vote. You don't need to hire nonprofits to do that. And they get plenty of money. All these organizations, look, we have a government that prints endless amounts of money. As a matter of fact, there's $7 trillion we're paying interest on that hasn't been spent. So you're going to tell me we can't afford to pay people to work for the proper agency, to have proper accountability for all of these measures? I'm sorry, but it is designed to fail. What we have is a system designed to fail. They want to be able to steal things. They want to be able to break things. Why? Because they need to destroy the system in order to create it anew. And what has the term, the phrase that keeps going on? Reset. We need a reset, right? The Great Reset. All that stuff that they're promoting, it's all about destroying the old and bringing in the new. So wherever you're at on the scale, there is nefarious stuff on the left, nefarious stuff on the right. Everyone's like, screw this, it's all broken. Well, if nobody's doing the things that are supposed to be done properly, of course, everyone's going to be on board with destroying the system because it's not actually operating or functioning the way it was meant. Right?
Yeah,
So,
it's really easy to get people to move when there's a bad. You really unite people. You can really, and this has been historically shown to be true. You can unite people against a common enemy, but the solution has to be in line with going in a right direction, not just any direction, because it could be pushing you back into the hands of the people that are there to kill you. Does that make sense? Might be all over the place, but they use whatever they can to try to create a problem and then provide the solution.
Well, think about it this way: cowboys herding cattle. You got a cowboy on either side of the herd, right? Left and right. Both of them corralling the cattle. And what is the population? Whether you're a Christian and refer to the normies or whatever as sheep, or your any other way of describing everyday people who don't want to be involved in politics as being cattle, or basically livestock to the slaughter, because they don't want to get involved in politics, but yet the people in politics are the ones that are steering them off the cliff, right? They're the Indians running the buffalo off the cliff.
On both sides. I mean,
that's right.
As you're saying, it's like both sides. It's like if you believe the narrative of the right or the left, you're probably being led astray. And it's like you've got to stop. And I'm saying this because it's just like calling myself fluffy. Sometimes we've got to swallow a hard pill and understand that the truth is worth it regardless. You have to do it. And you've got to sometimes, if you're going to deal with a problem, you don't sit there and go, whatever shall I do? You run right straight to the fire and deal with the problem, right? Some of the things I saw at the RNC, there was a lot of people that were doing rah-rah, but I'm going to tell you what, honestly, I'm going to tell you what I saw and what I was told. And I was a guest there. I will be nice and be careful, because there's a lot of very nice people that are trying to do something. And this is not an indictment on them in any way, shape, or form, but this is the truth. In one of the meetings in the morning, not only were we told by somebody that was part of the MIGOP that this was a big commercial for President Trump. Now, that's backwards. I support President Trump. I think he's the greatest president the United States ever had. However, with that said, don't turn your brain off, because then they're going to get you to accept somebody like Vance. Vance is Pence 2.0, and he's a traitor, just waiting to see when this is going to happen. Not if, but when. But said that this is going to be a big commercial for President Trump. No, that's backwards. It should be they are there to bring candidates forward. You are there to support your constituents. And that's where it needs to be. Even though your constituents probably support President Trump.
You know what?
Say that is alarming.
On the JD Vance pick, this is my personal opinion. I feel like it was a setup, because typically when you pick a VP candidate, you pick somebody that broadens your base. In the case of JD Vance, what he picked there was someone who didn't broaden his base, but painted his base exactly as the left has been portraying Trump, as all of these meth addicts, country bumpkins, flyover country. That is exactly what they've been painting the base of Trump's support. And so that's one of the reasons why the left has been so successful at capturing the wealthy class, the college-educated city dwellers, wealthier individuals who can actually contribute to political campaigns, instead of the people who don't pay attention to social media, have no idea what's going on, live out in the country, and are very low, have very low political activity, except for showing up for maybe some rallies every once in a while, right? So, like, what did you do by picking JD Vance? You helped paint the picture that the left wants you framed inside of. And so instead of picking someone who appeals to a broader spectrum in a lot of different terms, mostly the young crowd that wants to be energized behind somebody who's not potentially, look, Trump is up there in age and is awesome as he is at getting out there and getting things done and going to all these rallies, and the amount of energy he has, awesome. But there's also indicators that he's at that point where in 4 years, another 4 years of presidency, I don't know where he's going to be at the end of that. So
okay, I'm going to go in a scary direction.
What's that?
I said I'm going to go in a scary direction here. So Vance is in with the globalists. He's a globalist. He's tied to Peter Thiel and all of these global elites. Really, that's all I've seen is what he's tied to. I don't care what they say about the country bumpkin type of a background he's had. Ohio, just a regular guy. It doesn't look that way for me. He's been all over the place, right? So, and he's in with the big money, like huge money stuff. But he's in with Peter Thiel and some other people that I've got some big questions about, right? Huge. Well,
that's the Yale Skull and Bones, right?
Yeah, and it's a direct connection to like CIA, Mossad, and GCHQ. It felt like it was a nod to the CIA. That's what it felt like to me. Okay, and so I look at this and I'm like, and God forbid, I hope that there's some really good people out there protecting President Trump and his family. But if I'm looking at this from the outside, I'm looking at it. They put somebody in as they've been trying to assassinate this man and have done it not one time. The news only put it out one time, and that was quickly dealt with. But he's had several attempts on his life. And my whole thing is looking at this going, if somebody assassinates him, God forbid, I've been blowing the warning on this for a while. Now what do you have? They've got somebody sitting in the wings that's a globalist, Yale, like you said, skull and bones and all this crap going on to step right in for him. I feel it puts President Trump in greater risk. And it's really concerning to me, like very concerning to me.
No, you're right. You're right. Absolutely. But my point to that was that the way to amplify or reassert your position, that is a great indicator without going down hypotheticals, is that from a normal campaign perspective, this is not the person that you would pick. From a normal campaign, just like no conspiracy or no conjecture required. Just from a normal selection criteria for a presidential running mate, Vance is not the ideal pick.
He's a disaster pick. He's not just a non-ideal. This is disastrous.
Now we can get into the part where it is. So yes, he just had an assassination attempt, and then he picks, what was it, less than a week later, he picks JD Vance. I have a question. Why did all of a sudden now you exposed who your VP pick is? Why did you wait till that point to bring JD Vance out? Was this a coerced vice presidential pick?
I feel like it is.
Was this
strategic thinking involved?
Was this you may have survived, but they're coming at you again. The only way to protect you, the rest of the cabal will protect you, if you take our pick. You take the person we tell you you're going to take. And so they sabotage them through the VP pick yet again. Because what did they do last time? They made the same maneuver with Pence. They put Pence in instead of Flynn.
Yes, General Flynn would be a great pick for anything, because he's already proved that he is an actual man who does not fold to coercion. And just like, it was like, I remember that day when they asked him to change his plea, and he just sat there and he said, "Will you change your plea?" No. And everybody in that courtroom was freaking out because he's not changing his plea, right? Because that's what they wanted. And he just sat there and like, "Nope, going to stand right here." And I think
I can't believe that they gave what was it, Carter Page? They gave him pardons. They gave these people their jobs back after framing a general, after getting caught altering emails in order to support a political narrative. Like, holy cow. How do you not see that's literally a palace coup? That is exactly what a palace coup is. They ran a coup to take control, and now they're continuing their coup spree and ousting Biden. Biden was a puppet all along, but now it no longer suits their narratives.
I think he's a dead guy, if you really want to know the truth, since May, because we found I believe it was $28 million that was shifted to the Harris for President campaign on May 31st this year. What in the world are they doing? This is a setup. And look, I mean, the whole thing is a setup. It's a lie. And then they see him parade out, like 6 inches taller Biden out on the stage. I'm like, come on, people. This isn't even the same guy. I don't know how anybody can look at this and look at the disparity in height. What did they do? Put him on a rack for 6 months and stretch him out when he was in the basement? I don't know. But it's like, you don't sit there and parade a guy out that's like 6 feet tall or 6 inches taller than the last Biden fake. And there isn't enough plastic surgery in the world that you could have changed his face to what he is now.
I saw the video last night, and I was looking. I was like, "You got to be kidding me! Is this real?"
Okay, so there's a video on YouTube. It's called "Meet a Former CIA Chief of Disguise."
I love that gal. She's amazing.
Yeah, you want to know about the level of where we're at with masks? There's movies you can watch, right? For example, the movie Jackass with where the main actors.
The words you said, Jason. Oh, the words.
It's a movie, anyway, and it's an animal. Get out of here. So the guy, he's aged. He's wearing a mask that makes him look like he's 40 years older. And
put it in the private chat, and I'll put it up so we show people a minute.
The disguise.
Yeah, just put it in the private chat a minute, because I want to see the one you're exactly looking at, because I know which one you're talking about, because I'm like, I've watched tons of those videos, Love
it. This is a very short. This one's a clip, but the more important one is the TED Talk.
That's a good one.
But the level of disguise that we're at now, if you're not paying attention, like you just said, height, dead giveaway, ears, giveaway, corner of the eyes and mouth, fingers. Yeah, like there's certain things that are the hardest part to get right. And when you're wearing a mask, the bending and the folding of the facial expressions and stuff doesn't always come out. And the older you are, the looser your skin is. So unless you're getting Botox, right, you should be seeing wrinkles and movement. And you can tell when someone's wearing a mask because it's glued on and it can't move.
Well, did you look at Vance? I was watching some stuff on Vance. Okay, so all of a sudden, this guy all of a sudden grows too. So it makes you go, what the heck? This guy isn't as tall as President Trump, and President Trump is as short as Vance. Something's wrong there, right? And then I saw some pictures, and around the eyes, it's like they look a little hollow, or like you can see something. I'm like, I don't even think it's Vance. I'm hoping the good guys have picked all of these people up and shipped their sorry butts off to Gitmo or some black ops sites, and they're having a good time down there talking about everything they don't want to say. So put that. Can you put that in the private chat there, Jason?
Let me. Well, I'm on my phone over here, and I got it pulled up. Can I email it?
I've never bought
email.
into the skin suit theory.
Yeah. I'll pick it up from the email and put it in there. Because I've saved off a bunch of these too. Because the Masters of Disguise, that gal that does the talking about how they do it and be able to change, walking through it. The favorite one she did for me was when they walked through a store and they changed their identity right in public, and how they do that. I'm like, man, I want to do that someday. That looks like fun. Somebody help me with that. That'd be cool. So might take a minute to get through.
There's 3 of them. I'm sending them to you right now.
Okay, we'll put them up there. That'd be great.
And,
so you really believe that there's some kind of skin suit theory here when they change the appearance of people?
I know they do.
Well, it's really.
Absolutely. I don't believe anything I see or hear anymore, other than that 99% of it is just bullshit. And we're supposed to just go along with whatever's there. That's what I believe.
Well, part of it is going to happen anyway, because we got to protect our executives, right? Because there's normally a lot of threats against executives, presidents, vice presidents, all that. These are normal problems that they have to deal with on a day-to-day basis, and so there's going to be some level of that going on where we have doubles and people operating in lieu of, in order to protect the protectees. But the so it's not always nefarious, and it's not necessarily always going to be something that is conspiratorial, but it definitely lends itself to that, especially when you start to see the greater politics play, where there's a lot of mishaps and the speech patterns, some of the stuff gets thrown off, or there's cues that are missed. In particular, if they go off script, that's typically something that's not going to be appropriate, right? Because misattribution.
I think about all that, and if there's so much truth in it, and they do it so much and so often, it's no different than a false flag, like attacking your own country. You put an imposter up there in front of the American people.
Well, and especially
I understand the threat, but you know what? You took the job. Stand up there.
Well, that's the thing, right? Like, for example, State of the Union. That's done in front of Congress. There's no excuse for the rightful person that is elected to be in that position, right? There's no reason in the normal course of business in the locations that are secure.
We always talk about disguise as though.
Sorry, it triggered before. Keep going, please. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Yeah, no, in normal business locations and normal daily operations, we should be able to see the press conferences at the White House that are held, from West Wing or wherever. All of that should be the president. We shouldn't be seeing someone who, that's wearing a mask or, double up there. That's ridiculous. Those are places where that is the responsibility, and there is nearly zero threat. And so that's appropriate for those to be the actual person, right? No excuses.
Right. Well, I tell you, I've been to Mar-a-Lago like 3 times, or Cipriani was in there too, where President Trump was. And I don't believe that in Turning Point, I don't believe I saw the real President Trump anytime, because the speech patterns don't match and the height doesn't match. At Turning Point, he was the same height as Charlie Kirk, and or a little smaller. And so if you look at those sort of things, it's like, okay, we can go along with the idea of what's being said, but you can't take things hook, line, and sinker, because that's how they catch their fish, no matter who's spinning the narrative. Hang on. We'll go and play this. Scale's great.
Whether you're building it or whether you're peeling it off. It's almost transparent layers. And when you get enough of them going, you disappear and this other person is in the room. My name is Jana Mendez, and I was chief of disguise at the CIA. In my role as chief of disguise, my major concern was always protecting people, protecting our case officers who were going into situations that might be dangerous, but importantly, protecting the foreign people that we were meeting with, who were very often risking their lives.
We have to talk over this once in a while, or YouTube gives us a strike.
With a clandestine source at a cafe, your biggest concern might be that your next door neighbor is going to wander into that cafe at that moment and say, "Hi, Bill," when you weren't Bill. And that kind of casual stumbling upon people was an issue. And so you'd wear what we called light disguise. Light disguise can be something as simple as a wig, maybe some facial hair, maybe some glasses, not a big deal. The other extreme is advanced disguise that you would use for up close and personal for an extended period of time, where the person you were talking to would have no idea that you were not in true face.
So just to pause for a sec. So how do you defeat this, right? Like, how do you defeat knowing that the person on the other side or across the table from you is who they say they are? And this goes to the Russian bathhouse, right? This is where they call, you show up, you're completely naked in front of the other person. And that way, that they're not wearing a wire, that, they're not wearing any prosthetics that could be concealing things or changing their identity. You are exactly who you are, completely exposed, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it, right? So I'll just throw that out there.
Just pretty much guaranteed I'm not going to meet anybody in a bathhouse to do anything like that, just so you know. But I think even if you look in people's eyes and watch their behaviors, I don't think that people can hold a character for more than 15 minutes if they're really good and you're really paying attention. And
it takes a lot of work to put out political decoys in society and in front of cameras and hundreds of millions of people. It's wow. Like you said, to compose yourself and hold yourself to play the part, it's a tremendous amount of work.
Well, you look at Trump's speeches, they go on for hours sometimes. He gets long-winded, and that's hard to have anyone that isn't full-time rehearsed or a very close, someone who's close to him or around him a lot, to be able to act that part sua sponte or repetitively is very difficult, especially if the rhetoric is shifting.
I want to shake that guy's hand though someday, because there's a couple different ones, because you can hear it in the accent, and it's the rhotic accent that fouls them up, because they can't continue to do that perfectly. So if you listen to that, that's where I pick it out on, besides the height.
And Donna, for you, just hot tub's fine. The water would, cause a lot of problems with these makeup and the mask and whatnot. Hot water, so
melt everything, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. So here we go. Let's listen to a second.
Research program into the new advanced disguise system. It was basically the masks that everybody always wondered if we used masks, and this was the beginning. This is a series of photographs of when I met George H.W. Bush in the Oval Office and revealed to him that I was briefing him wearing a mask. When you go to disguise a person, the general idea is that you're going to meet with someone in this disguise, and they're going to write a memo of the person that they just met with. And we want every item in that memo that describes you to be wrong. If we're looking at a man and we want to change the way he looks, start at the top, and the first thing that comes up is hair. What's he got, and what do you want to do with it? If he has curly hair, you want to go straight. If he has dark hair, you might want to go light. If he's young, you might want to throw in some gray. If he's old, you might want to cover up the gray.
I think this is just really cool. And I think it's really important for people to take time to ponder this, because, it's like when you meet somebody and it doesn't match up, and there's something that they're even talking differently than they normally would have. You got to stop and pause and go, who the heck am I talking to? I had that with Christina Caramo, and where all of a sudden she's like, she had no idea who I was, and I'm like, you know, like you've been to my barn, and then all of a sudden it's a completely different narrative coming out of her mouth.
That's when you do what I did at the Hamas protest. You grab them by the mask and pull it down. Show your face.
You need to be standing next to me because you're a little bit bigger than I am, and I'm still fluffy, remember? I need to get off my fat behind and continue to go to the gym. So anyhow, let's watch some more.
Present with facial hair. If you don't, maybe we're going to give you some. If you're going to be somewhere for a while, maybe we're going to have you grow some. We have made prostheses on occasion. You could actually change cheekbones. We can add something here. You can.
They do stuff with the teeth too. That's what I see, is that they'll fake the teeth. And you can tell that the person talking to him isn't used to talking with him a little bit.
You know, Biden's teeth is one of his giveaways. You can tell now in several of the individuals that the bottom row of teeth do not match.
Add a forehead, you can do a nose. We can do what we call dental facades. We can change actually the shape of your face with the right dental facade. This piece is called a plumper because it increases the plumpness of your gum.
Pretty interesting though, isn't it? So now YouTube's gonna get flaked out on me. So be it. So, but I'll put that in my Telegram channel, and you guys can watch the rest of it because this stuff is really interesting. To, you know, phenomenal. There's lots of stuff out there with people changing from a guy to a gal, and they'll have the thing come all the way down to your chest and such, and all of a sudden it takes a whoa.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy stuff.
Yeah. So, and if you want to go down that lane, you know, how many agents after the Office of Personnel Management was hacked, how many of our foreign agents had to go through or undergo surgeries, legitimate surgeries, in order to actually carry out their activities? Like they now know your identity. That's one of the reasons why the DNA collection was such a huge problem, and why the compromise of all these different, healthcare industry stuff is a huge issue. Is because guess what? Your privacy being invaded is one consequence, but the other consequence is all of the people who are undercover or who have undergone certain surgeries and whatnot. That's now potentially all compromised, right? Like, how do you carry out activities against foreign bad guys if there's no way for you to hide your identity?
Your DNA.
Well, I tell you something that Bob Terry brought up the other day. I was talking to him. I call people and check on him. Bob's a little stressed, right? So I called Bob.
When it does that,
and
it changes the profile of your face. The last thing is artificial palates.
Okay, so
she really wants to tell you a lot, huh?
Let's say, yeah, she wants to talk. So anyhow, Bob was talking about the CrowdStrike and how CrowdStrike was so bad, and that they hacked into all of our intelligence agencies, and now all the bad guys outside of our country, you know, can attack us. And he's really upset. And I'm like going, I'm not so sure that the biggest bad guy is sitting right here in the United States of America, and that this isn't exactly as catastrophic as people might think it is. And I'm like talking to him going, and this is a bad thing entirely because of why? You know, it's like I'm like, so well, all the other nations that are trying to attack us are going to have all of the information on the people we're tracking, the bad guys that the United States is tracking, because it's going against the people that are doing bad things, and you know, it blows all of our cover on things. And I'm like going, might be an upside to this actually, even though I wouldn't support doing things in an outside way. But I think when you're in war, you got to get kind of creative sometimes. So I'm not sure that this is a bad guy operation at all. I'm wondering if the good guys have control of this and that they're just using it to pummel the crap out of everybody. If you are, hats off to you. I love you all.
Well, given the current regime's propensity for violating our Constitution, you know, I'll kind of just leave it at that. There's a lot of nefarious entities within our own systems and apparatus that are clearly undermining our nation. And
criminals. They're criminals.
there's no.
Who remembers life before the internet?
We've got too much work to do to clean it up. And question is, what is it? You know, going back to what was said earlier about Venezuela, Argentina with Milei, and also El Salvador with Bukele, right? Like, we have seen this play out in other parts of the world where they have now rejected communism, and we can only hope that that's, and pray that that's where we're heading here this election cycle, and that when they open the borders, that they didn't get enough through, or the ones that they got through were the political dissidents that rallied against communism in those other countries and are not going to go along with it here. They may have opened all and expelled all their political opposition, but if their political opposition is actually pro-capitalist, freedom, all that kind of stuff, and then they embedded some of their military and some of their intelligence assets into some of those to infiltrate, let's hope that the ratios are in our favor.
The enemy's here. The enemy's within. You know.
Yeah, I think so too. I think the biggest enemy was in the United States of America, and they virtue signaled us so much so that we stopped questioning it and got on the rah-rah bandwagon, and then used that to take the right captive, fighting against the left, and both of them were in a bad situation. They're both bad, so both leading us astray. I like your analogy of herding cattle. I think that's pretty good. Oh, you want to? I got to play a video for you guys sometime. The worst sheepdog in the whole planet, and I'll get a hold of that video, because clearly the sheepdog didn't understand what was going on, and all of a sudden the sheep start chasing the dog all over the place. It was the rebellion of the sheep. I think it's absolutely hilarious. You know what? I'm going to bring Chris on so you guys can meet Chris a minute. Chris, my friend. And he's supposed to be in the second hour, so I'm just going to get in there a little quick. Hey, Chris, how you doing?
Good. How you doing, Donna?
Good. I know you're gonna like all these guys, and I wanted to meet you and say hi. So Jason,
hold on 1 minute, Chris. I need you to pinch your skin on your face a little bit. We want to make sure it's you.
No, no prosthetics that I have today.
No masks. This is the no mask zone. Whether we're fat, ugly, fluffy, or whatever it is what it is.
We're all Americans.
That's right.
I wear all year long because I'm on a long time mission. So
yeah.
I can't any prosthetics be found. Yeah.
There you go. So Stanley, just so you know, yeah, I do remember before the internet, and so does Chris, because you guys are young pups.
Young pups.
Yeah, you're a pup.
Yeah, but very wise, very wise. You got good information.
Yeah, you got to be able to bust friends in the chops once in a while. It's a sign of true love, right?
Oh yeah.
So, well, this is awesome. Well, anyhow, I guess we're just going to go right into it. If you guys want to stay around, that's fine. And I think you'll enjoy the conversation with Chris. Chris is a dear friend of mine, and he's became part of our family, not only traveling with me and protecting our family when I was running for governor. And I'm going to tell you, I've got some amazing Chris stories of someone who is not only incredibly smart, but doesn't back down. And a guy, one of them was a guy who was part of a 14-year felony, which later Chris also caught. Was there to threaten me with a gun. And Chris and the other two security guys that were there stepped up and changed the entire situation, shall I say. And Chris just got right in his face and basically said, "Boy, you touch that gun one more time and you're going out in a black bag." And it was, that kind of thing happened a lot. I mean, you step up to run for governor and shit gets real. And it's like, it really does. But then we have the rat story, which is another funny story, and all these other funny stories. But I think one of the funniest things is, that you ever said was, you said you came up here to protect me, and you know, and you fell in love with the whole damn family. And that was good. It was good. It was a great time. And I mean, huge love for Chris, and everybody's heart up here for Chris. And not only is he a good guy, but he's smart and he's got a lot to say. So we were talking this week, and you and I are still standing upright, which is amazing, Chris, that we're not, both of us, dead at this point in time. But your perspective on what's going on globally is always incredibly educated and insightful. And some of the things you had to say this weekend we were talking is just amazing. So I'm going to let you just launch into this.
I'm going to take off.
Some of the
Jason. Okay. Well, thanks, Jason. That's another one of my brave friends that I love dearly. And thank you for coming on today. I really appreciate going into the mask thing. That's great. I love this kind of stuff. Going to Spook World, you know.
Oh yeah.
So we'll see you later. And Stanley, do you want to stay on, or do you want to duck out now too?
I'm gonna duck out.
Okay, love you guys both. Thank you so much, and we'll talk to you.
Stay happy. Bye for now.
Bye-bye. Okay, so it's you and I again. Here we are. So what's happening in Chris world?
Well, it's cool that you use the word perspective, because that's basically what I think sometimes a lot of Americans have to do. They have to take themselves out of social media. They need to, you ever go to a restaurant and clear your palate, and you do it because when you take that taste of wine, you want to gain all the information you can from that wine that you're tasting, right? You want to experience everything good that has to give. Well, basically, I do the same thing. I kind of pull away. I get off of the internet. I get away from the political bullshit. I get away from all the negative, because there's so much negative out there. And what people don't understand is that a lot of this is what entraps people into a little four-walled room that they can't get out of, and they find themselves stuck. So, and I do that myself, so I have to get out. When I get out, when I come back in, I gain a better perspective of what's going on around me. And I look at the things in the past, like, you spoke earlier, I'm 68 years old. So I did a lot of work with the government when I was with the, working alongside Federal Protective Agency in Washington, D.C., with a company, McCracken Security, which was an arm of an agency. And I learned a lot. I learned a lot economically about our country, about other countries, about the way the world works. And when you take yourself out of social media, out of the hate, and you just sit back and you watch, you realize that the reason that we have all these wars, the reason that we have all these conflicts, now notice, none of the wars really start until they're done shit stirring. And this is the government and the non-governmental agencies that are all a part of this, making this a part of your world that you live in. They suck you into this vacuum, and they get you involved into what they dictate. So right now, what I see is we have a big divide, and there could be a possibility of a conquer. I doubt it, because of how strong we are as a nation, economically and militarily, even though we do have a lot of threats that come at us. One of the biggest threats that I see is that, and I'm going to get back to what I was talking about, but one of the biggest threats I see is infiltration. We as a country have been infiltrated by, you got to figure there's 167 other countries around that want to be like America. Nobody wants to see America go down. They really don't. Most of these countries, which are democratic countries, or they call themselves democratic countries, some of them are monarchies, and some of them are autocracies. But they don't want to see us fail, because we, as a country, give so much out to them. We are their go-to guy. We are their bank. We are their handout to some of these countries. And a lot of these countries look up to us. You would not believe, I kind of grew up in a world where America's the best and everybody else sucks. Russia's bad, China's bad. It used to be that Russia was bad, and you didn't really hear that much about China. But, it was mainly Russia, because we had a Cold War with Russia. It was a power push. Well, that's what we're experiencing right now with China. We have a Cold War going on. What China did was they infiltrated our government. They infiltrated our country, not just our government. They infiltrated our country a long time ago, probably a good 40, 50 years ago. But what they did was they started at the bottom. They worked their way to the top. You can't start at the top. You can't go in and go, hey, President, tell me your secrets. It doesn't work that way. You have to gradually work your way up if you're going to infiltrate. If you notice, we have probably, we used to have Republicans, we used to have Democrats. Now we have Republicans, well, patriots, more or less, MAGA, Make America Great Again. We have people that want to make America great again. And we have socialists. We have globalists, really. That's another name for socialists. And they use the venue of climate change, whether a lot of these people are going to disagree with me because they're all caught up in that ideology, which is what it is, an ideology. That ideology is the doorway to communism, as it is the doorway to socialism. How do you get to socialism? You get to socialism by being a Democrat. Well, how so? Well, you're a Democrat, then you become a Democrat socialist, because the universities push that. Therefore, your doctors can't be wrong. Your PhDs that are teaching you this can't be wrong. So it's okay to have a little more, want for freedom and equality and equity and all this crap that they're pushing. It's okay. It's okay to have a little bit of that. You're a Democrat socialist. Well, the next step is you're a socialist. The next step after that is welcome to communism, because it's all the same building blocks. Everything that they're pushing right now is all communism. If you look in our government, how many socialists do you think we have as congressmen and senators?
Probably a high percentage, but not only that, they've used a lot of blackmail, coercion, and threats to keep people in check. So it's a mess. We literally have a crime syndicate running not only the United States, but the world right now. The whole thing is corrupted from top to bottom.
Yep, it's a Chinese crime syndicate. And
started by Kissinger, though, right?
I'm sorry?
Started by Kissinger.
Yeah.
Kissinger and his cronies were the ones behind that.
And actually a little bit before, well, probably, yeah, a little bit before him, actually. But he was the, he churned that butter, and he was an organizer, and he helped structure the foundation of which your next Kissinger really is Al Gore. Al Gore is using all the financial tools he can. The people that have these privates or belong to the same society, but they call themselves philanthropists, and they're not philanthropists at all. What they are is they're anarchists.
They're money launderers is what they are, because they money launder and use what people have been told to trust to turn it against them, and use them because they're counting on us being blind sheep that just follow those emotions of, yes, we want to do the right thing, when it's, no, they're not. They're lying to you.
Right, exactly. With the great experiments that Bill Gates does in Africa, really what he's doing is he's killing people. But that's another
And
show.
sterilizing them to boot, you know?
Yep. And what they've done is basically they've used their money to gain access to our government. And they've got, like, you go back to Dianne Feinstein and you go back to Eric Swalwell. Eric Swalwell was, and I can't believe he's still in government in a intelligence venue, but he slept with a Chinese spy. He was an asset to China through this woman. When Chinese, well, I'll get to that later. Then you have Dianne Feinstein. Dianne Feinstein had a Chinese assistant for like 15 years that helped her, walked with her, did anything that Dianne wanted to do. She was also there collecting information, overhearing telephone conversations, listening to subject matter that policy decisions and strategies and things like that. When these people come over here and they get these jobs, they don't come over to become an American. They come over to gather information. These people are from China. They don't come over here to eat pizza. They come over here to eat rice. They stay Chinese. They don't turn into Americans. So what is their main focus? Their main focus is, I'm from China. This is my homeland. And if they call me to come back because they want to restart or repopulate China or whatever, I'm coming back, because my first loyalty is to my country, because I am China.
Well, and let's go there. Look at how many people in the United States government have dual citizenship with Israel. And I've got some real questions about, it's not that I question true Jewish people, like I don't question true Christians, and I'm a Christian, and you know me really well, you know my personality, and I'm the first one to criticize anything that I'm involved in and try to clean the corruption out. I think the Christian church is an abysmal failure right now, and you can look at how much of the Masonic structure is in the Christian church, and everybody can't speak out about or say anything, or you're ostracized and booted off the island. And it's really a shame, because that's how they keep this nonsense going. When you look at how many of these religious organizations are involved in human trafficking, it's incredible that nobody calls it out. But we don't want to call out the church, and it's like, who's behind it? A lot of organizations that claim to be the church, not all of them, but the ones that aren't doing it need to call out the ones that are corrupt. Just like during the lockdowns, you see the churches that closed their doors. What in the world was going on there? They were getting money for their 501c3s and didn't stand for what they should have stood for. It's an embarrassment. The whole thing needs to be torn right to the ground, and the true church needs to rise up and start acting like what we are supposed to do as servants here, or to serve God on this planet. It's his planet. It's disgusting. And the same thing needs to be said about Israel. It's like, I'm not questioning anybody's faith. I'm questioning a military governmental structure that's just about as corrupt as anything that any of us have ever seen, including the United States government, because they're all working together.
Right, exactly. And you speak about Israel, and that's you probably have two Mossad agents in our government that are working as agents, from Israel. You also have people from like Talib Rashad. Why do we have communists? And they speak out. They admit it. I'm a socialist. I'm
a progressive or something like that.
This is America. How can a communist or a socialist, how can they successfully represent an American citizen who, in which we have the system of American ideology. How can a politician that is a socialist, let's say it, a communist, how can they teach or represent an American with American values when you're a communist? You can't. So why are you here? Well, I'm here because I'm trying to get my brothers in, and eventually we're going to make all of Congress communists.
Yeah, we're going to take over you guys.
I mean, Democrat socialists. Yeah, that's a ticket. They'll buy that. I'm Democrat socialist. Yeah. No bullshit. You're a freaking communist. Get the fuck out. We don't want you here.
They're an enemy of our nation.
Yeah, that's not God. God, you know, you got Mossad, you got these Talib Rashads. How disrespectful. I mean, if you can't see what has disgustingly infiltrated our country, when you have Bibi Netanyahu addressing Congress, and you've got this Sharia law, you've got a Hamas congresswoman sitting right there with a black round sign saying, "I'm a political prisoner," and showing it to Bibi Netanyahu as he's presenting himself to the Congress. You are not representing American people. You are representing another country. Get the fuck out.
Well, this is just like what I see when these people are like protesting in Washington, D.C. under a foreign flag. And I'm like, we're in a war. This is an attack on American soil under a foreign flag.
Right. Traitors.
They're traitors. Absolutely.
And they should be either taken down to Gitmo, and they should be tried militarily. We need to start setting the example that this is America, damn it. We have a flag. We believe in God. We don't believe in Muhammad. Muhammad's not our God. Our foundation is God. And we have a constitution. Socialists, they don't believe in our constitution. These Talib Rashads and probably AOC, I don't know, but and Hakeem Jeffries, you know, when everybody else is standing in Congress applauding Netanyahu, and these people are sitting down disrespecting him. All of those people told on themselves. All of those people were admitting and saying, I am not with America. I am of another country. I do not represent what Israel represents. Israel and the United States, in my opinion, are one. And if you go against them, you're going against me. Because I will tell you this, Israel will back America 100%. Netanyahu is no sit back, well, I'm going to watch what happens, and whatever happens, happens. That's what Biden did to Israel. What a shame. What a shame. What a gutless, coward, traitor that man is. You can come get me, FBI, CIA, I don't give a shit. Come get some. You're traitors. You're part of it. You people are part of it. And you need to go. You can't even stand up. YouTube, other social outlets had more information about what happened to Donald Trump when he got shot in the face. And that son of a bitch, Ray, has the balls to get up in front of America and say, well, it could have been shrapnel. We're not exactly sure. It could have been glass. That's no different than those people we saw represent the Olympics. It's the same thing. It's wokeism. It's communism. It's cancer. It's all through our government. What we need to do is get rid of all of these people. Every single agency needs to be revamped. Our local governments are crawling with socialists. Our judges are being represented by Democrats, so-called Democrats, Biden, right? To go to the House where we have our congressmen interviewing these referrals for judges to stand in our government. And these people have ties to communist organizations that they belong to, C-103s that they belong to. These oh man,
501c3s and such. It's just it's the craziest thing. And I just think that we've got to question everything. And realistically, to even use the terms Republican or Democrat anymore is not representational, because there's an invading force that is above all of the organizations that we see, that has come in, and it's a parasite class. They infiltrate, they take over, and they use those things that we think are good against us. So like I said, I'm not against the Jewish people. I'm not against the Muslim people. I'm not against the Chinese people. I am against anyone who does not respect, other people, and they don't get to come into our nation and try to push their agenda, which is a violent agenda stating to kill us all if we don't capitulate to them. That is a military operation parading as a religion. That's not a religion. That's a military. You bow to us or we will kill you. That's not the same thing. And so, I mean, when we look at it, I mean, I'm not going to run into their country and tell them that, you have to change to be a Christian or I'm going to kill you. That's not okay. Okay. I don't believe in that whatsoever. God put us on this planet with free will and choice. We can talk to people, we can say our opinion and try to educate people, but you don't go in and say you either bow or I kill you. That's what they've done. We are infidels, whom the ones that are in the military structure. I know some people that are Muslim. My doctor's Muslim, and they're some of the most respectful, nicest people I've ever. They put things up at Christmas time to honor people that come in at Christmas. And, it's like, you know what I mean? It's different. Yep. And so we've got to really differentiate between, say, the Jewish people and the people who are running the government, Muslim people, and the people that are inciting this violence against. And you can go to any type of an ism or I don't know, anything like that, and realize that they are parasitically infested.
Right.
That doesn't mean that all people are bad. I'm not really happy with the Republican structure or the Democrat structure, but I differentiate between the people and the ones that have parasitically infiltrated it.
It's a subsystem, and it's led by leaders that are evil, leaders that want to control the economy, and they want the most, right? They want the most. It all basically surrounds a economical system that we live in, and they want to control the system in which they live in. So what do? They develop these Houthis. They develop Hezbollah. They develop Hamas. They develop all these terrorist organizations, proxies. We're not going to really see Iran go to war with Israel, as well we did, but not so much as they're going to be using proxies. We're getting into a structure where it's not going to be really China against the United States. It'll probably be proxies or economic type fights. Like I was talking to the other night, and a lot of what we're seeing is a fight for power, countries wanting power, and the things that they will do to get this power is not what you and I were raised to believe. These are not our ethics. They're not the ethics of the people of Israel. They're probably not the ethics of the people of Iran. They're not the morals of the people that live in Gaza or the people that live in Rafah or the people that live in Russia. Because if you just took all the people that are like you, like me, like the Muslim neighbor I have that lives up the street and has a gas station, beautiful guy, big smile on his face every single day, and every Christmas, like you say, he's got the decorations out to please, because he's thinking of the people outside of his shed. He lives in a shed. We all live in a shed. His shed, he's doing it smart. He's not thinking of his shed. He's thinking of the outside world. What do these people, what is their footprint? How do they live? What do they want? If I give to them or show them, these things, they will probably come back. They will feel comfortable. They're trying to make, you see what I'm saying? The guy that owns the mobile station right next to him is thinking about, well, my store is better because I've got red bricks and I've got more gasoline pumps and stuff like that. So more people are going to come here. The thing that he's not doing is he's not looking at his customer base. He's not thinking about, well, if I was that pregnant woman coming to my store, would I have inside of my store things that would be able to be usable for her? So that's where you have success, and that's where you have failure in economy. The ones that lead the right way are the ones that are going to be most successful. We as a country used to be like that. But now we're looking at China, and we've given China so much, just like we're giving Iran. You have to look at the whole picture. And when you look at the whole picture, you wonder why would the United States give Iran all this money? That Donald Trump, why would Donald Trump, when he was president, why would he take away the advancement or the growth for Iran? Why? Why do you think Donald Trump would take away your ability to grow as a country? And you're Iran. Why did I do that?
Because of the nuclear threat.
Exactly.
And he was protecting us. I mean, that is, it's all woven in. I mean, you protect the borders, but the borders aren't just like walking across the Mexican or the Canadian border here, or coming in from the sea, which the Navy should be protecting. But it is from a sky threat now, which I'm really happy that we've got, Space Force in place and some of the things that they're doing, and all of the satellites and that sort of thing that's up there. I mean, there's a lot of threats here right now, and from many different directions.
Mm-hmm. And who does Iran hate? Who are they basically setting up all these proxies, these little hate terrorist organizations? You got to ask yourself, well, how did they get funded? How did they come about? I can tell you, we're the ones that created Hamas. Mm-hmm. We're the ones that created Hezbollah, and the rest of them followed. All we had to do was create one or two. The rest went, oh, okay. So that's how I do it.
Because they're getting money for it. They're getting money for being disruptors, and the support doesn't go through to the country. It ends up going to the terrorist organization. So, like, to all of the people out there that are Jewish and saying, well, you're talking against the Jews. It's like, no, we're not. We're trying to help anybody out there who's being put at risk from their own government. You look, all you got to do is look at October 7th. It was their own government that launched that attack. That was with the help of Hamas and such, because they're all working together. It's just like here in the United States. BLM didn't grow up organically. It's a big corporation, and it's heavily, heavily funded. Who funded it? BLM. What's that?
I got to interrupt.
Go ahead.
You hit the nail right on the head. Whoever developed Hamas, whoever developed Hezbollah, are the same people that developed BLM, are the same people that developed Antifa.
Yep.
You know why? You know where you can draw the link? Because they use the people, the innocent people in front of them, as human shields. And then they come back out from around them and they start throwing bricks. That is a terrorist strategy. That is what Hamas does. They use the Palestinian people. They march into Israel. Then they start breaking into homes. They pull the mom and dad out of the home. They bring the crib out right in front of mom and dad, and they start beheading their children right in front of mom and dad. Then they behead mom and dad, and then it's the next neighbor. They did it on a holiday, a Jewish holiday, in the morning on October 7th. And so the Palestinian people are being used as shields to protect Hamas, also to use a narrative.
Mm-hmm.
Narrative. And so the same thing happens with BLM. They did the same thing. Oh, it's not us. It's the Republican protesters. Look, they're the ones that did this. Okay? It's the same thing as January 6th. All these red shirts with all the red hats that were turned this way. Okay? It was like 200 of them. They were all FBI.
Yeah, you bet it was a Fedsurrection.
All FBI. They've got right now. They've got and the link that I'm talking to you about. There's too much similarity between the way that they commit terror. We have a country that we live in that is committing terror against its own citizens, but they're calling them BLM. I don't know how BLM started. I mean, I guess somebody woke up one day and said, you know what? I think Black Lives Matter. I'm going to tell my neighbor. And that neighbor's going to tell his neighbor and his neighbor. I think that's how it's going to grow. No, I'm stupid because that's what I'm believing from the media. You know, I mean, how does this shit start? Republicans can't even organize a good RNC. We can't.
When we were running around, and when you and I were running around Michigan here, you could to go to any of the county meetings for the Republicans. It was lucky if they had 12 in each meeting, and they all came for coffee and cookies.
Right. And then you spoke and they went, what?
It's like, what? What is this strange person that came in here and is speaking like a non-politician that's telling the truth? We got to get rid of her quick. Our cookies and our coffee's going to stop.
Well, that's funny. That's a joke. Some of them did, but those are the ones that already came in, already brainwashed with all this bullshit propaganda. But most of them, I would say just about all the people, you can take 5 people, I would say, because I was the one outside looking in. I had to be outside looking in to protect you. But what I saw was a totally different picture. All those people, they hugged what you had to say. They loved what you had to say. If they could come around and grab your legs and hug you, they would have, because you represented a flag that nobody else had shown them. Everybody was talking the same bullshit, the same kind of politician rhetoric. You came out and you were like, you know what? I don't expect you to believe me. I don't expect you to trust me because we've been screwed for so long. What I expect you to do is do your research on me. You find out who I am, what I've owned, who I've helped with the stuff that I've owned, which is Donald Trump built a wall down south in Mexico. That was my 2 companies I had down there. So you can, do your research. I physically, before I decided to run, kind of like Trump, before he decided to run, he was doing stuff for the American people. He was building something. He was giving people jobs. He was creating prosperity, just like you did. You helped the man that did that. You said, you know what? I'm going to buy that company that's going down. I'm going to take that company. I'm going to take it down south, and we're going to dig some holes for him. And we're going to help him put that wall up. And you know something? People, because people live, and I love the American people, but we've gotten to a point where we want to be saved by somebody. They're in a state of mind where they're like, tell me what I want to hear so that I can vote for you, because I want to search for the right person to believe in. They're looking for a savior. And what they don't realize is that they've already been saved. They've been saved by the blood of Jesus Christ. What we need to do is focus more on the foundation that this country was founded on, and then take everybody that stands up in front and says, I'll represent you. Oh, you will? What's your name? Really? Where were you born? Really? And what college did you say you get? Okay. And start asking questions so that you can create a bio, so you can research that person, so you can go ahead and develop information that's useful. And if you take the information on each person that's standing up in front of you saying they're going to help you, and you find out this guy belonged to community growth and love, and then you research that and you find out, Jesus Christ, that guy came from China. That's built on a Chinese. Better cancel him. And then find out this lady was okay. She worked for a president of a company, and that president of the company who she supports was a member of the Atlantic Forum Council. So no, I don't think I'm going to trust anything she says or anyone she brings up, and on down the line. And then it winds up, you're the only one. That's how I looked at you. That's how I saw you, because nobody else had any credibility whatsoever. Everybody else was doing it for either money or self-gain. They weren't doing it for the right reason. You're the only one that was doing it for the right reason. That's why I love you. That's why I came to protect you on my dime, because you were doing it on yours. And I thought, this is a true patriot. I'm fuck everything else. I'm coming up and I'm putting everything I've got into her. And I found people, and this is the amazing thing about America, about patriotism, that if you love our country, you truly do. I found, as you know, people at rallies that we went to, Michigan people, born and raised, that love Michigan. They love the Michigan flag. They love the state and what it stands for, and all of its economical growth. And they said, you know what? I don't want anything either. I'm gonna join your team, and I'm gonna be a part of your team. And these were veterans. Some of them were veterans. Some of them were ex-military. Just plain ex-military. Whatever. It didn't matter. But these were people that had boots on. These were patriotic people that would die for you.
They would have. And I got to say, I met some of the.
I know that they would die for you because of the conversations that I had with them. I went ahead and did my survey on each one of them. One of them didn't even have a gun, as you know. And I'm like, you know what? You don't need a weapon. You are the weapon. I want you for your brain. You're the shit. You're coming with me. And so I had a good team that I developed that was patriotic. They were on time. They didn't ask for anything. These people were solid. And there are solid people in Michigan that if they learn how to, and this is the whole point, and it's not their fault. It's America. We have a system. The system we live in is a programmed system. It has to work like a business. Our system has to tell me if I'm talking too much. But
You go, Chris, go. I love this.
But our system in America, so what do we do when we're born? We're like crazy, right? We're babies. We're running all over the place. We're shitting our pants. We're trying to go out that door, go into the front yard, run into the street. We're going everywhere, right? We're trying to go in the backyard and play with whoever the hell that is. And we're just going wild. We have no framework around us. So who does it to us? Well, our own parents do. Our own parents put us in our own sandbox, okay? And they say, okay, well, this is a bed. It's nighttime. It's bedtime. You have to go to bed. Okay, this is when we wake up. This is how we clean ourselves. We become healthy. We brush our teeth. We wash our face. We take showers. We eat at certain times. We create a healthy environment. This is the environment in which we live. You in your house, you can walk around without clothes. It doesn't matter. But as soon as you step out that front door, you are no longer in the sandbox. You are now outside. You are in the world. You have to present yourself a certain way. So after that, I'm going to enroll you in school. You're going to go to school, and in school, they're going to teach you about God. They're going to teach you about English, math, all the things, the subjects that you need. And under the pride and patriotism of America, that flag in homeroom that you pledged your allegiance to, you're going to have a foundation of strength. When you graduate high school, you're going to maybe go to college, maybe not, but you're going to do what was programmed for you to do, which was to get a job. I'm going to get a job so that what? So that I can get a reward. We, as Americans, we thrive on getting a reward. We either get a reward financially, we get a reward, maybe it's a pat on the back that we do it for. Maybe we do it for ideology. Maybe we give ourselves for that. Maybe it's just money. Maybe it's just money. Money. Maybe that's what we need. But whatever it is, those things are the basic principles of how we grow in our society. It's how our society, our system is run. Is it a good system? Well, it's pretty good. It runs like a business because we never say, well, why can't I go any further than the front yard or outside of my house? How come I can't go outside of this circle that you put me in? Well, that question's never come up. And if it did, you would have asked your mom or your dad, how come I have to do it this way? And they're going to tell you, well, because my mom and dad told me what I'm telling you, so I'm just passing it down. This is a system that flows like water all the way down and has for over 100 years, 200 years. So we're a very new country, and the program in which the system is working fine. But now we've come to a point in our system where we're sort of taking our toe and we're tipping outside that front yard into the street to see what's going to happen. We're kind of testing the waters right now. But why are we doing that? Why are people doing that? Well, because our government is pushing us to do that. Why is our government pushing us to do that? Because we have an economic struggle right now. And so we've got to make a decision as a government on how to work your program. How do we make our system better? How do we make it so that we can flow the money, reward the people down our system that work and give us the money to help other countries and to stay safe? How do we do this? Well, right now, I really don't care. I'd rather divide the country because I have outside financial interests, not American interests, but outside financial interests in which I want to be rewarded because I put 50 years in this government. So it's my time to get paid. It's my time to celebrate. I'm taking Chinese money and I'm going to go ahead and do what they say. And I'm not going to interfere when they take Taiwan. I'm going to go ahead and let them sit back because they paid me to do it, because I told them, look, you pay me the right money. You give me an office and I'll make sure that you've got Taiwan when you want Taiwan. You're not going to get.
That's not necessarily you talking that. That's the people in the government that are doing the wrong thing, correct?
Exactly.
Yeah. So you're speaking for those people that are sitting in government, not Chris Deal. But that's your mindset.
Deal. This is sorry about that, but this is what the government is doing right now.
I know you well enough to tell that you would tell them to shove the money up their rear end and walk away after you punched them if somebody ever offered you money that was bad money.
Absolutely.
I wanted to make sure that everyone was clear on this. This is Chris talking for those people that are in government, because I know Chris enough to know that he would go absolutely nuts, crazy, hostile.
Yeah, I would do it to like that guy that had that weapon that kept putting his hand on that weapon. It's the same thing. Because I cannot see how our president will sit there and go and take China, okay, and say, I'm going to make this a financial win for me. Screw America, and I'm going to divert what's going on over here by using Ukraine and Russia. I'm going to call Russia the bad guy. Every politician that's calling Russia the bad guy, you got Obama, you got the Clintons, you got the Bidens, you got Mitch McConnell. He turned. They've turned people. Okay, so yeah, Russia's, any politician that sits there, Russia's bad, China's good, are the ones that got paid, the ones that Biden, the money flowed right through Biden and right into their accounts. Nancy Pelosi sitting in San Francisco, sucking on her wine and her coffee, she's guilty too. She's a traitor also. They took the money. Instead of looking out for the American people, they went ahead and they took the money that he went ahead and made the deal with China. I believe that Biden was an influence. Yeah, he was peddling influence, but nobody in Congress is saying, well, what exactly type of influence were you peddling? Okay, you say you're peddling influence. You admit it. Well, they admit that that even Comer is saying he's peddling influence. He's making money on influence. That's the wrong question. The question you should be saying is, what exactly type of influence did you sell them? Did you sell out America? You know, you can stop at influence if you want, but I'm not stopping at influence because it tells me that influence is something that you're selling to another country. You're doing a favor for another country, a foreign country. You should be doing favors for us. Instead, you're committing a treasonous act. And you're saying, okay, China, you give me this money. I'm going to go ahead and let you influence me, Biden, to do what you want to be done. My only guess is, because I know that China is almost like this economically with America, and they're battling hard.
It's a paper tiger. I don't really think they're as much of a threat as everybody thinks they are, because I think that there's other things that are bigger problems for us, like say India right now, because all of our manufacturing is going there. And so not that they're hostile towards us, but economically we've sold off so much equipment and influence to India that nobody's looking there. It always happens where people aren't looking, right?
Exactly. And they try to get you concentrating on this over here. Meanwhile, they're really doing this over there, and they don't want to look. And that's why
I want to go back to something you said here a minute, because Tom brought something up in the chat here. Whitmer and Benson cheated to keep power, and we aren't only motivated by money. We work hard and do what's right for God's glory. So one of the things that you were saying is that most human beings are constantly making trades. It's always trade. But I think the closer you are to God, and this is why it's so important. And I mean, you know, real God, not like Jesus even talked about people preaching another Jesus other than him. And that's something that we're going to have to face, because everybody that says it perhaps is not on board with what God actually said and what the words that Jesus said too. You got to remember that. And I think that as we grow closer to God, the reward for doing something is the reward of doing the right thing. The reward comes not from the material world. It comes from the fact that God gave us an opportunity to do good works. That is the reward right there. It's not that we do it for something else. It's just because it is actually in our heart, which is really hard for a lot of people to relate to. It's really hard for them to look at somebody else and believe, because they see other people through their own lens. Well, that's why I love people I just let people talk whatever they want, and they can say whatever they want about me, because I'm like, they're telling me how they think. It's not reality. It's how they think. I can work with that. Right.
Right.
And so,
it's the shed they live in, and the window they're looking out. They know
exactly.
Outside. They know a car just pulled up. They can't see it because the window's really foggy and it's dirty and messy and stuff. But They can hear people, they can hear doors slam, they know there's a car out there, but they just can't quite see it. And unfortunately, that's the shed that this system develops. And it's not a good system. It's a system that was devised back in the Babylonian days to control populations so that they don't go shit back crazy and the money goes to them instead of them.
Right. Well, let's go back to this car analogy then. So let's just say that the windows are foggy and you hear things. When a person would walk up to that, they'd see their own reflection. And that's the problem that most people have, is they see the world as they reflect and it reflects back to them. So they expect other people to do what they would do in that situation. So when somebody starts talking to me and telling me how much they know about the world, I'm like, you just played your poker hand for me. And I know exactly how you think, because if you were put in this situation, that's what you would do. That has no bearing on what I would do or you would do or anything like that, because they're telling you that that's what they would do. And when they see somebody like, say, myself or you, because I know you would sleep on the ground and in the middle of nowhere to protect somebody, because you're driven by doing the right thing under all circumstances, to hell with everybody else and what they think. I'm geared the same way, where that I would do the right thing regardless what anybody else thought or saw, because I don't need somebody else's approval. I would do the right thing. And that's, but they'll look at somebody like you and I quite often. And there's a lot of, back to your point, there were so many people that absolutely just were so kind and gracious and loving to me when I was out there running. It wasn't the structure. They were horrified by what I was saying. But the everyday Americans, they just absolutely embraced me, loved me, and it was what I was saying. You know, they still didn't know me to my in a very, very super personal way, because it takes a long time to get to know somebody really well. That's not something that you learn in one visit. But what I was speaking was truth. And people know the truth when they hear it. They really do. But the people that are not close to God, and you can feel it, you know it when you're talking to somebody who's got the Holy Spirit in them, who is a true believer, who's saved by grace, and Jesus Christ is our Lord and Savior. Those of us who are truly Spirit-filled Christians, you know it when you meet someone. It resonates. You see the true love and the resolve of standing and being willing to do whatever it takes under any circumstances to do what God asks us to do, because it's not us, it's His strength that you see. It's Him that carries us. It's Him that puts the words in our mouth. It's like, it has nothing to do with this human construct that we're looking at. And they know, and we know the difference. And it's amazing, but doing the right thing is the reward. That is, it's not that we're looking for the claim it, frame it crap that's out there. You know, you do this and you're going to hold God to a contract and He's going to have to honor that contract because you did the right thing. That is crap. It's total crap. And I mean, think about it. If you were in relationship with someone like we are in relationship with God, do you want to look at God and say, well, I'm going to do this and then I know I'm going to get that for it? Is that love? It is absolute contempt for God. That claim it and frame it is total contempt for God. It is disrespectful. It is not love. If one of your kids came to you and said, I'm going to do this and you're going to have to do this because it's some sort of contract, I would tell my kids, you just earned yourself another 7 laps around the house for being disrespectful. And there may be further implications for your poor choices and disrespect. I think God looks at us that way, but He'll let us go on and say, how's that working for you when we get into trouble? But for those of us who stand with God, if He asks you to do something, He equips you. Doesn't mean it's always going to be comfortable. I mean, when I walked out of India with my youngest child, who was so sick. I mean, I was puke head to toe because she was so sick. And everybody looked at me with complete horror and disgust as I was trying to get her back home. There was nothing else to do. You just had to keep walking. And, you know, I had somebody in the airport in the Netherlands, Schiphol, take our luggage and dump it on the floor and kick through it with total disgust looking at me. And I'm like, it's as good as it gets. She's got to have a doctor, and there ain't anybody that is going to help her where we are. We've got to get her home so she has proper medical care. And, you know, and it's like when you go into those situations, God carries you through these situations of even running for office. Everyone out there should be running for an office. If we're going to write the United States, how are we going to do that when we got everybody that's just a cookie eater and there to eat cookies, you know, drink the coffee and bitch about how bad things are? It doesn't count. That doesn't count. You've got to be willing to get in there and do the job and be willing to go into these situations. So I was invited into something where a person who almost everybody out there who is a friend to me and probably a supporter of the truth would be like, what are you doing talking to these people, Donna? I'm going to tell you what I'm doing. I'm going to go in and tell them what needs to be done, not sit there in agreement with them. And what are we doing? Sitting in our churches and not going out and talking and speaking the truth. We're sitting there in a club that agrees with us. What good are we? Zero, nada, nothing. You've got to be able to run towards the fire. If the politicians are not doing the right thing, are you talking to them? Are you sitting at home in your church with your friends bitching about how bad it is? Are you telling them, I am here, we outrank you in jurisdiction, you work for us, not in an arrogant way, but I'm here to help you make sure that you're on the straight and narrow, and get to know them. They may be a good person who's under threat or coercion. They may need you to stand behind them and say, who's threatening you? We will absolutely go after those people, and there will be nowhere for them to hide. You know, you've got to be willing to run for something, put yourself out there and risk, because you know what? God's not going to abandon you. He's going to give you everything you need to accomplish what it is that he has set you up for. And you're going to find a whole lot of good people out there that are powered by the Holy Spirit, by the strength of God Almighty. He's looking for people who have faith. And it's not faith that things are going to go in the direction that everybody wants to go in. You know, it's like I had so many people tell me, you're a bad person. You walked away from the Republican Party. I'm like, it was the Republican Party that removed me. And there was a special agent within the Attorney General's office that absolutely told me, he said, you know who took you out, didn't you? I'm like, absolutely. It's the Republican Party took me out. They owe me an apology, as well as everyone else who said that I abandoned them. I didn't walk away from them. They walked away from me because they wanted me gone. And it wasn't the people, it was a structure. Mm-hmm. And, you know, it's like when we sit here as a Christian and say that we're willing to stand for God, that's a big statement. That means you have to be willing to walk right into the fire and not be afraid. Walk in there, and if you want to see miracles and God do miracles, you walk right straight into that fire and deal with that situation. Win, lose, or die, it doesn't matter to us. And it doesn't matter to you, Chris. And I mean, we've had so many discussions about what it truly means to stand for God, and have people say terrible things about us that there's no truth in. You know, it's like, you know, one of my sons who was accused of being gay and this, that, and the other thing, because he's sick a lot. And I don't want to mention his name here, but everybody was saying, oh, he's gay, he's this, that, and the other thing. That son he's
one of the strongest men I know. Yep.
He wouldn't bend. He is absolutely, they did it to defame him. And he sat there and he goes, I don't really care, Mom. And I'm like, I know you don't, which is funny because he's wired like I am. He could care less about it, but it was meant to try to damage him. He had cancer years ago, and he's sick because for whatever reason, but he will not bend over anything that he finds to be a matter of integrity or honor. He's just like me. He's just like my dad. It's the same thing. It's It probably came down through, you want to talk about bloodlines, that stubborn resolve is absolutely never going to go away, because I'd rather die than bend on some of these issues. But I will go in and talk to people, because we have to. And we have to see, it's not about being right, sitting in our churches and being right. It's about going in there and ministering to people who are lost and letting them know, not even in a hostile way. It is more important for me to know that they're okay as a person, and then talking to them, and as a person, are they okay? And that has eternal implications. Absolutely. There's a lot of people that flat out serve Satan that are in these seats.
Absolutely.
And we need to go in and find out who they are.
Yep. That right there, Donna, is that you hit. I mean, when you think about it, right now, it's not divided Democrat, Republican. It's divided God and evil, because you can't have that much evil at that much. When we took as a country, not you and I, but and not a lot of the audience that's listening, but as a nation, we took God out of the country. We took him out of our schools. We took him even off the wall of our government, took the 10 Commandments off. When you take God out of something else is going to replace that void. And it's not God, because you took him out. You rejected him. So we as a country, basically, not you and I, not a lot of people out there, God love them, but a lot of people just rejected God. And they said, it's okay that God's not in my school. It's okay that God's not in my government. It's okay that this blah, blah, blah. Okay, so what do you got now? Well, now you got Ishtar, the god of woman. I am woman. I am also man. You've got Baal, the god of Baal, Baal.
Asherah is about genital mutilation. That's
exactly.
what I'm like, people.
And even from history, Babylonian times, she has had so many names to change her name so that it would fit into the society at that decade, that generation. It went from Ishtar, Ishtar. It went to Venus, the goddess of love. It went to all these other things, but all these things are going to float around. But as soon as you give a void or a place for it to go, it's going to all go. And that's, I think, what we're seeing right now is so many godless places being infiltrated with evil, with demons that are controlling and making all these people make such bad decisions. We are in a time right now where people, our government is calling good evil and calling evil good. And the Olympics was a perfect example of that, because that was not we didn't mean to offend anybody, is what they're saying. But what that was,
they did plan it.
That was, of course, it was a ritual. They were having a ritual. Everything that God does in the Bible, listen, they read the Bible too, because they try to do the opposite. Why? Because they don't want God to come. They don't want Jesus to come to Jerusalem.
They don't want him. They don't want him, us listening to God, is what Satan does not want us listening.
Why? Because he wants to stay on this earth. He doesn't want to go to where God's got a place for him. And he knows it's going to happen. He's trying to prolong it as long as possible. And he's going to try to convert everybody here on earth as into demons. There's a war going on up there spiritually, and there's one going on right now in the whole world. And really, that's your basis for all these goofy and backwards decisions and people coming out doing the weirdest things that normally they wouldn't do. You know, people aren't going to go ahead and bring their their sexual habits out into the world and march down the street and flamboyantly expose themselves out into the world. I believe that these are victims. I believe that these are people that have been lost. No one showed them the right way. And possibly, hopefully, I pray that God will forgive them because they did not know.
And I think that this is a great time to talk about. I'm going to ask you to tell it. Can you tell your story about when you died? I love that story. And I think that there's so many people that don't realize that we're not kidding you. I mean, there's some of us who have actually been able to see the other side and know that this is not made up. This is for real. And I love your story. And I'd like you to, can you tell people what happened to you? Because to go back and kind of 1-2 punch this a little bit on the fact that this is real. This is real, people. We are in a spiritual war, and the war is about taking as many people to hell with them as they can in order to hurt God himself, because we are his children. Think about losing your children. The greatest thing the greatest loss that God will ever have is to watch one of his children be permanently separated from him.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's what he wants. That's why we're divided. We're not really divided because of politics. We're divided because of spirit. Spirit's divided. That's what's happening. That's what the real war is. Mm-hmm. Now, if you want me to tell you what happened,
this is a great story. We've discussed this many times, and it's a great story.
Well, and this is a time too when I was basically serving myself. My parents died at a younger age, so I had no adult really supervision. I only had the supervision of the government. I had the supervision of people on the street around me where I was working, where they were putting me in places and stuff. And so I sort of I just did what I was told. Nobody said, oh, by the way, there's a God. I mean, yes, I knew of the Spirit of the Lord and all that, but I did not know God. Okay, so here I am working. I'm in Louisiana, Baton Rouge. I'm driving down the road. I got a guy with me. All of a sudden, the tires go flat on the vehicle, on the rental vehicle that I'm driving. I'm doing about 45. I come up to an intersection where it's like a T. And I'm just, at this point, I'm driving a vehicle, and it seems like it's like I'm driving on ice. I don't really have control over the steering, maybe a little bit, but not much. It's like I'm driving on black ice because the tires are blown. I'm on steel rims. So I can either go through the T, off to the right a little, go through across that road that comes like this. I can go through this road and off the side onto the grass and hit these trees. Or I can continue straight, go up and around the ramp, and because I don't have the control or the turning ability, I'm probably going to fly right off the ramp and then hit the tree and then go down. So I thought, you know what? If I'm going to hit a tree, I'd rather do it from the ground instead of in the air. All of that was in like a split second decision. So I made the right. I hit the tree. The tree was wider than the car itself. After it was all over with and I got my clothes back from the hospital, I had bark in my pants pockets, in my jacket. I have bark, tree bark. Anyway, so I guess I was out for a second or two. I wake up. The guy that I was with, he wasn't wearing a seatbelt. I was. He had hit the windshield. He had a head injury, and he had yellow stuff coming out of his nose and whatnot, and that was a cracked cranium. But he wound up okay. They drove him to the hospital. They flew me to a trauma center because I went back out again. When I went back out, I woke up in the hospital, and it was about 3 or 4 in the morning, I guess. And I'm looking in the hospital, and there's a nurse, and she's telling me that they flew me in. Do I know where I'm at? I'm like, well, I'm assuming I'm at a hospital. I see a blood pressure machine and you. And she says, let me take your temperature. So she takes my temperature. She goes, how do you feel? Do you feel warm? Do you feel cold? How do you feel? Are you sweating? I said, no. I said, I guess I feel fine. And she says, do you know what happened to you? I said, well, I know I was in a car accident. She said, well, you have a lacerated liver. And what we're trying to do is take your temperature, make sure that your temperature doesn't go, haywire or whatever. Because if it does, it means you're bleeding internally and whatnot. So she says, this thermometer's probably wrong. I'm going to go get another one. I said, what's it say? She goes, it says 104. And I said, well, I don't feel like I have 104 temperature. She says, I'll be right back. So she leaves, goes out the sliding door. I look over to my right and I see the blood pressure machine and the numbers systolic and diastolic. Your systolic is supposed to be higher. Your diastolic is supposed to be lower. So a normal blood pressure would be like 120/80. Well, my numbers started coming down. And, usually when you look at the machine, it goes down maybe a point, goes back up a point, it fluctuates. This wasn't fluctuating. It was going down. It was going down. The numbers started going closer together. They were going down. I looked at that. In that second, I had sort of a feeling of peace. I looked over to the left, and what I saw now was like a black blinder, like a shield, like a black wall. And instead of the sliding glass door, I looked back over to my right, and the blood pressure machine was not there anymore. And behind it, the wall really wasn't there. It was more like a gray cloud, a grayish white cloud that was like turning, like moving in a circular motion. The window was gone. That wasn't there anymore. I looked straight ahead. Over my feet, there was a doorway that had the bathroom, that was gone. Now I sort of go forward into the bathroom, and it's like this big room, it's like this gigantic, like a basketball court in a gymnasium, only that there were no walls. And I go in, and all of a sudden I'm way, way up looking down, and I see there's a light, and it's shining down on this rectangle, a long rectangle. I come down real close, like it was like this, right? I went straight down, and it was me laying on the table. The next thing I know, I'm flying. I'm in the air flying over this beautiful planet. I mean, the grass was green. I mean, green, not like the grass you see outside. That's not green. The trees, beautiful. Flowers, I mean, pure. The colors were pure. There was no dirt. There was no scum. The waters were crystal clear in the streams. It was like looking at a picture of National Geographic with the rolling hills of Ireland, and you saw the green grass and streams and the beautiful trees and everything. The skies were blue, perfectly white clouds. And I was, at one point, it was like I was flying. I felt like I was moving forward, but I had no arms, no shoulders, no leg, nothing behind me. It was like it was my eyes just going forward really, really, really fast. And I had no control over how far down from the earth I was, how far up, because I was being manipulated back and forth, up and down, and at great speeds. And I had the chance to feel what was like carrying me, because I had no fear. I had, all my emotions were gone. The only thing I had left was the love that something else was in me. It didn't come from me, and I knew that. But it was something stronger than anything I've ever felt before. And it was love. It was God. That is God. God is love. People say, well, in the Bible, it says that when you die, you're going to be created in the image of God. So God must be human. Well, let's take a look at it another way. God must be love. That's what his image is. His image isn't the image of a man, because that's what we are trained to see. That's what we grow up seeing and being. No, the image is love. The image of God is the power of his love. The power of his love is greater than any atom bomb, greater than any power. If it can just take you anywhere and show you everything it wants to show you, but at the same time protect you. It is this massive amount of love that you can never get here on this earth unless he decides to give it to you. But he decided to give it to me that day. There is no word that we have created in a dictionary to explain the power of the love in which he has to give you. And he gives it to all of us. He gives us all a piece. He gives us all a taste. If he gave it to us all, there would be no free will. There was no free will, just his love. Can you imagine that? Living in a world without fear, without problems, without worry, without having to make a decision, because the love is so strong. You're enveloped in this, in him. And when he put me back, I woke up, it was about 3, 4, thereabouts in the afternoon the next day. It seemed like it was in a second. But the journey that he took me on, the purity of what he showed me that not to worry. I don't have a fear of death. I don't need a car, 2 cars, a 3-car garage. I don't need the white picket fence. I don't need a big house. I don't need any of that, because none of that is what makes me happy. What makes me happy is God and the love that he has to give. And he's giving the opportunity to give it to everybody. But people are so affixed on their own love and their own self, they can't get out of that box. And the devil created that sandbox right here. He created it from Babylon, and it carries till now. Just a different sandbox, repainted. It's still sand, and it's still a rectangle, and it still has borders. And it's up to us. It's up to every single one of us to be able to take that foot and step it outside of that border and experience something that maybe we've always been afraid to go there because we've been conditioned not to. Well, if you've been conditioned not to, not is negative to me. So try anything you can to get outside of the sandbox that you've been trapped in. Anyway, when I came back, I'm sitting there in the bed, and I'm looking out the window, and I'm feeling that spirit leave out the window. I just felt I wanted to go right out the window with it. I didn't want to stay in the bed. I'm feeling it go. I know it's leaving, and I'm like, where are you going? No, I want to go with you. Take me with you. And I knew I can't just jump out the window and go, God, because I don't think it would take me at that point. You just go, only me. So
You had more work to do.
yeah, apparently. So what I did learn, though, it's not my decision on where I go and what I do. I have to talk to God every day and listen to him. I have to try to see what he wants me to do, not what I want to do for him. It's not about that, because that's man's way. I have to open my ears up. When I said earlier, I have to take myself away from all of this at times. It's to reset my own self. It's to reset my spirit, reset my brain, and clear all that crap out, get him back in 100% so I can hear everything. I have to do it silently with no one around. May call me a weirdo, I don't care. That's okay. But I have to find my own safe house so that I can have time with him and me alone, so that I can speak to Jesus, so I can speak to God, so I can have the glory of allowing the Holy Spirit to exist inside of me. And I have to say thank you, Jesus, for allowing and for sticking up for me and for saying something to God about me, to allow God to give me that. I'm getting all chills now. It's like you have to listen to him. It's not about us. It's not about what we want to do, and screw all the politics and all the, this China wants to be economically, and Iran wants to take Israel, and we have stupid leaders that give Iran all this money so that they can finance the ones that we already trained to be terrorists, to go against Israel in a proxy war, and China's over here trying to take Taiwan, and we made a deal. Forget all that, because why would I want to focus truly on the negative? Why do I want to believe that the end is within them, that they're controlling my destiny? They don't control my destiny at all. They don't control your destiny. They control maybe the things that we have they want to control, in which might control our emotions, because our emotions are not affixed on what it should be, which is God. If we were affixed on the spiritual instead of what's here on earth, I think it would be a whole different, we'd be talking about something different today, instead of talking about the wars that are coming or might come, the politicians that are bad. We've got so much evil through our own government that the most I can do is pray for him, hope to God that maybe he can somehow help me listen to him, so that I can be a part of his army to do what he wants me to do to help fix this mess. Because there is a big war going on right now, and it's not about blood and skin and bones and body. It's about spiritualities. It's principalities at work right now. And our foundation, what is a foundation? A foundation is the slab that you build a house on. Is it made of stone or is it made of sand? Well, right now, I see a lot of sand. I see a lot of people building their houses on sand. And that's why I'm seeing all of the things that are going wrong in their lives, through social media or through the news. And they're doubling down on getting you to go there. That's not where you want to go. That's where people are trying to lead you to go. That's the wrong place to go. That's not where we should focus. We should focus on God. Listen to what God has to tell you, what you want to do, because I don't know what you want to do. I don't know what's good for you. I know what's good for me. And I know God knows what's good for me. And I have to find out what he wants me to do, And if it's, like he said before, go to Michigan because you're needed in Michigan, then that's what I'll do. I'll go to Michigan because maybe I'm needed in Michigan,
Yeah,
but
to protect this crazy chick up there that's mildly aggravating and sometimes majorly aggravating.
and put some love on Kyle and Aaron and all the rest and Julia and everybody, the horses down to the everybody.
Down to the last chicken.
They're down to the last egg.
Funniest thing I gotta tell you, the funniest thing I have to see is that I go out there and Chris is out there sprinkling the chickens on hot days, trying to keep them cool.
Yeah, you know what I was afraid of? I was afraid of them frying.
Yeah.
Smoke. I'm sitting there going, God, please don't burn these things. I hope I'm not gonna, make them hotter than they already are by putting water on them. I don't want to see steam coming off them. I hope I'm not.
Now I'd have a real problem because I got the bees started back up again, and we were out there sprinkling off the bees and trying to keep them when it's 100 degrees out there. They don't really like that kind of a environment, so you're trying to keep them cool and hydrate and such. Even the bees are important. The last bee,
Yeah, right. That's how kind of I was looking at it. I was like, oh my God, these are probably the last chickens we'll ever see.
Well, it was probably shocking. What's really pretty shocking is, you come in the barn and you're helping in the morning, and you must have looked at me like, are you out of your mind because of my process for shoveling manure out of the stalls and how absolutely even that process is crazy.
That was really, really cool. It was because I had cats and I had to clean the kitty litter. It's not really that much difference. It's just that you're stepping into the box. It's different. It's a bigger kitty litter. It's like a big kitty litter box. And you're holding the rake, the scooper, and you're scooping it, but you're in the box doing it. Meanwhile, this horse is out there going, can't wait to get in to dirty up what you just cleaned up. And then the process is so wild because now I got to sweep everything that's out here on the black rubber. Now I got to wash all of that crap off, and then reset them because I moved them with the tractor. And then I got to, I got to check on the chickens. Walk the damn dog. And it's a beautiful to smile at the camera because it's up there, and so say hi to the Chinese because they're the ones that provide. So it's like, hey, Hong Kong, hello.
We had a huge fun there.
A mousy tongue. You really want this? You really want this job? So it was. I had a lot of fun because it was good. It was good.
It's all old school, and I really think that, here's another question. What is that people have to confront? What if you lost everything that you have around you, the things that you count on every day? I mean, look at the toilet paper nonsense that went on a few years ago. What would you do to hold your sanity if things went down? That's a question in the preparedness arena. That's something everybody's going to have to face and should face and have an answer for that. What if everything you count on, what was that?
They're going to have to hold more than the sanity, right?
Yeah, right. But what would you do if everything you count on is all of a sudden gone? Well, what's the most important things for you? You're going to have to start looking at the people around you and realize that's what's really important is the people around you. And now, how are you going to help them so that, it's not about helping us. God will give us everything we need. He can make things bloom in front of us. It doesn't matter. And he will give you what you need if you're called for a task. But you look around you to everyone around you. How are you going to help them? Because I know, Chris, you and I are a lot alike in the way we think. I'm going to be okay no matter what. I might be pissed off about things. And regularly, I will be hostily angry about stuff. And then I think about it, and it's always a time that God is shifting my thought to something else.
Yeah.
He knows I'm going to get annoyed with it. He knows I'm going to get downright ornery and probably pissed off because something's wrong. But what it'll do is it will change my attention to how to actually deal with that And then once I get it worked out on, oh, that's how you deal with it, then I'm right back on track again. And I don't stay ornery for very long when I do get annoyed. It's like, and it's always because I see injustices that are being done. That's pretty much the only thing that'll trigger me. If something falls down around me, it's like, okay, we got, let's fix it. But if it's something that's a lie or an injustice that I see, that'll get me pretty hot and like ready to fight, but I don't stay there.
Justified anger. Jesus had that, when he walked through the temple in the time of the money changers. Yeah. So
you get the same way.
It's okay to hate the sin, just don't hate the person committing it.
Well, even a little. Can we hate him just a little bit until we're I'm joking.
I don't know. That's something you got to go to God about.
I got to go to God with that. It's like there's a few people I can look at and hate on them just a little bit, but then realistically, and I'm joking about that. I mean, realistically, we're human. We're fallen. Every single one of us has got some. We've all have sinned and come short of the glory of God. That's why we need a savior. You look into yourself, every single person that's out there. If anybody tells me I'm perfect, I have it all together, I'm going to go, okay, that's the first lie that came out of your mouth that I've heard in the last few minutes. And, let's see what the next one's going to be, because we've all fallen short of the glory of God, every single one of us. That's why we need a savior. And it's not just a savior that's a savior when we go hit the pearly gates type of thing. It's a savior that walks with us every single day. He's saving us from ourselves and our bad choices and our inability to love and all these things that are systemically wrong with us living in a fallen world where Satan's sitting there trying to catch us and divert us into the wrong things because we are in a fallen world. Now, he could have stopped that. He could have saved us from that, but he didn't. So why? We have to ask those questions. Why? Why is he letting this go on? Why is he allowing all this stuff? I don't know. I don't have the answer to it, but except for the fact that I believe he's teaching us things that we wouldn't otherwise have learned. And those are those deep truths, bravery, honor, valor, all those things that teach us to be more like him. If we have to confront those things, in a way that's, how do I say it? If everything were perfect all the way around us, we're not really exercising our faith. We're not learning what it really looks like. Sometimes people have to be shown. And that, all of us that have been in the research networks for years, you know what? The plan's God's plan. Trust the plan. The plan is God's plan. We have to be shown what it is to, if we do the wrong things, what the consequences are. And so that we become so fail safe, because we become like God, and God is absolutely faithful all the time. We cannot achieve that. God can help us as we walk with our Savior, saving us every minute of our day, not just at the eternal going to heaven or going to hell moment, but it's right now. It's walking with the Holy Spirit, minute by minute, day by day, praying without ceasing, and having the right motivation, which is serving all the people out there, every single one of us, as we struggle through this thing called life, as we try to help each other. We lay our lives down to help each other. We stop our plans sometimes. Nothing's more important than a person around us that is struggling. And we have to remember all these hobbies, all this nonsense that we think we need. We don't need any of it. And if this system fails, I've been praying for years that it would, because as you said, to your words, Babylon is falling and it needs to fall. And we need to be strong enough to say, it's not going to matter. I'm going to walk the path that God puts ahead of me, and I'm going to walk it with him, and he will never fail us. And that's a great place to be.
Exactly. He recognizes those who have the faith in him, and he will take care of those who have the faith in him and believe in him. He always does. He took care of me at a time when, my liver was lacerated. I was bleeding internally, and I was on my way down. He took me And he said, look, I'm going to show you exactly what nobody ever told you about me. I'm your father and I love you, period. And I'm going to show you what your real house looks like. And when he put me back in the hospital, I was like, no, what are you doing? You know, don't put me back here.
And don't make me do it. Don't make me go back, please.
I want to go back. I want to go back. Go back with you, yeah. So, yeah. So, you know, we make choices, and people make choices, good ones, at different times than you and I might make choices. I made a choice late in life. Well, actually, I think I made it very early in life. I think I was chosen. I just didn't know it. But that was at an early age. And that's kind of a different story. But, you know, people learn at their own speed, their own time. It's sort of like God's in control of all that. God knows when they're going to come to him or when things are going to happen for the glory of him instead of the glory of them. And so he knows when that's going to be. So that used to frustrate me. I used to go on social media and I used to try to change the minds of people by saying, no, that's not what's happening. This is what's happening. This is what's going on. You don't understand. No, that's not right. Well, when somebody is in the middle of a belief system, their own stable, and they're looking through that foggy window and they hear that car out there, but they're taught that the sandbox that they're in, they can't go out of it. One day, they're going to rub that window and they're going to break that window and they're going to jump out that window and they're going to go look for themselves. You know, they're going to find out. They'll find out. I have faith in God that he will not leave people behind.
Mm-hmm. Well, I tell you what, you know, here, I'm going to throw out another little truth bomb just to end this out. You know, I listen to a lot of people talk about the rapture, you know, going in the rapture, staying here. It's like, I don't care. Wherever God tells me he wants me to be, right. I want to serve him. It's like, do I want to be raptured out of here? Actually, I want to serve him. And it's like, I don't want necessarily the easy job. I don't mind taking on the tough jobs because, you know, it's like, and just to me, it sounds like people are wanting to see other people punished and such. And it's like, you know what, we want to see them saved. That's the most important thing is we want to see everyone go to God, because the only one we're going to hurt ultimately is God himself by having that attitude. And we need to be willing to serve God wherever he calls us to. That's the highest calling right there. But with that said, you know, we know that we have a lot of people that have done the wrong thing and they did it knowingly. We can't coexist with them, because you can't have darkness living with light, because every day they're going after more and more innocent people. Those people have to be removed. Should we be happy about it? No. But we have a job also that we have to do. We have to eliminate the people who are murderers, rapists, that have hurt all of the innocent, who have killed children, who have done horrible crimes and horrible things to other human beings because they're sick, they're demented, there's something ultimately wrong with them. They hate humanity, they hate human beings because they serve their father, Satan. There's no two ways about it. There's a divide there. But remember, be really mindful, everyone out there, when you're dealing with people, because some of what you're seeing is people who have been threatened, coerced, maybe they're weak, okay? And they can't stand under because they're at a different place than what we are in their faith. That's possible. But then on the other side, you have people who knowingly commit these crimes and knowingly do evil and huge evil, things that we don't even speak about out in the open readily because it's too hard for really good people to process that this is actually happening. I mean, I've gone and looked into, and I know you have too, Chris. We both looked down as far into the horrible stuff that's going on as I can actually read, because I want to be a person that says, I saw this. I witnessed this. This is what a fallen human being is capable of doing, you know, and I mean terrible things. And the crime syndicates, the cartels, are involved in terrible things, and they like to brag about it. And they outwardly say we serve Satan. They say serve things like Santa Muerte and all that sort of thing. They openly admit to serving Satan himself, and they will do horrible things. Just because the more pain they create, the more they think that they're going to be rewarded by their god, Satan themselves. And they tell you exactly what they're going to do, because that's part of the contract that they have with Satan. These people, if you can call them that, cannot coexist with us, because their goal is to destroy anything good on the planet, anything that either serves God, that is good, that God created. They will destroy all of it, because they ultimately want to destroy God themselves and think that Satan's going to bless them. Man, they are stupid. What do you think is going to happen? Which you can't do it anyhow. You can't kill God. It's not possible. You are a created being, and you are going to be in a heap of hurt if you think you're going to come against God. And God's not going to be mocked. He'll let you go for just so long, and then there comes a point in time where justice kicks in, and God will not abandon his children. And those entities that think that they're going to slap God in the face, you got a long eternity, and it's going to be a problem for you. Pretty extra sure. No going back on that. So just so everybody knows, you got anything that's bothering you, turn to God. He didn't expect to come and be here with perfect. He didn't die for perfect people. He died for all of us who are sinners, who are fallen, and who don't have all the answers, and who are walking around in this very fallen place and are finding our way to walk with him for his purposes, no matter what the world throws at us. And every time the world throws something at us, we get just a little stronger, because it's God's strength that carries us, because we become more in tune with him. We listen, we follow, we care, and we will do the right thing under all circumstances by the power of God, not in our own right. It's the power of God. And this is a problem in this world, because the world is not prepared for actually being confronted by God and the power of God himself, who has the ability to level all evil that quick.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
So, well, this has been fun, Chris. I mean, you and I haven't sat down and just talked for hours like we used to, and I really treasure that time. We had a lot of fun talking about, the founding fathers and, the Federalist Papers and all of these things, things that you shared by working somewhat undercover in different places, as well as serving our country in Vietnam and talking about I love helicopters, and talking about, jumping on the helicopter while it's rocking around up in the air and such, and, and eliminating all threats, both foreign and domestic. I love those conversations. I really do. So I think I'd like you to come on regularly, because there's all kinds of issues that I don't care if anybody even listens. I mean, if you sit here and, we can educate each other, and you can, all these things that to share. It's important, because this is the only way we're going to get the truth, is talking to each other and bringing things forward, having honest discussions, no matter what it is. I don't care. We need to talk about these things and have everybody make up your own mind. If everybody out there thinks we're all full of crap, I respect that. Whatever, don't have to agree with us, but it's good to listen to other perspectives. And I listen to everybody's perspective, even people that I disagree with. And I will run right towards the fire and stand with people that everybody on the right absolutely hates, and everybody on the left that everybody hates, because I want to talk to everybody and get to that truth. And I'm not afraid to talk to people.
And the beautiful thing about that is that knowing that all the people that we're talking about is everybody we see in a store while we get gas, just walking down the street. I mean, these are the beautiful people that make up the world. And I don't care what country you live in, when you go there and you step out of your world and you go to their world, you then realize, wow, these people are no different than me. They just live under a different leadership system. But basically, they come from the earth just like I do. They want the same things I do. They want peace, they want prosperity, they want love, you know, and they're always moving forward. Everybody wants to move forward, and that's okay. But people do it at different paces. That's fine. But we're all basically the same. The ones that are creating these issues are the ones not receiving God, but receiving other types of help. And these
instruction from evil.
And yeah, it's evil, and they worship it in front of us now. They used to not do it in front of us, but they do it now in front of us. Every time they march down a street, they've got the devil signs. Every time they go to the Olympics now, apparently, they're worshiping. They're mocking. Can you believe it? They're mocking the desolation. This is the desolation, right? I mean, you can't mock God. You're making fun of God. That's the worst thing you can do. That's the worst thing you can do, is to make fun of the one that put you here.
Making fun of love. How can you make fun of love? And it's like, this is just, it's unspeakable. And, you know, I think the biggest and the most important question that we can all say when we get up in the morning is, God, let me see this world through your eyes. Let me look at people through your eyes so that we can see them for what they are and how you see them, where they're hurting, where they're in need, or if they're truly evil and they need to be dealt with. That's the question. That's the question to ask. How? Let me see everyone with your eyes, because then we can look past people who are just muddling around out there like little kids that are just, you know, screwing around in a playground trying to get it right, like most of us are, and be able to help them. Or if they're truly evil and we need to grab our torches and pitchforks a little bit and deal with this situation, you know, that's an important thing, you know, and then the minor aggravations between people disappear. And so you can look at them and go, oh, this isn't something I need to address. I can just kind of like, oh, this is like a, you know, one of my chickens that's got a, you know, one of the eyes gone or something like that. That does happen once in a while. They get in their little scrambles and all of a sudden one of them shows up without an eye in it because somebody thought it was a great idea to peck an eye out. You know, it's like that pecking order is brutal. I hate to say that. I was talking to somebody the other day and we were getting ready to eat at the taxpayer party convention. And I was talking about my horse and, you know, and things that you have to do to a horse. And somebody says, you're sitting around. Do we have to really talk about this as we're getting food? And I'm like, oh, sorry, not in the farm community right now. And I'm like, this is how farmers talk, right? It's just the way it is. You know, it's part of our life. You know, I'll pick up horse manure with one hand and eat a sandwich with the other hand and never even think two shakes about it.
That's it. You got it. That's it. That's the way I am. I think I was. Yeah.
So you want to pray for us today? Because you and I both are prayers. You want to pray?
I want you to. I want you.
Okay. So dear Heavenly Father, thank you so very much for Chris and Jason and Stanley and all the wonderful people that are so gracious to give their time to come on BNN and be able to communicate with other people that are lost or hurting or that are just upset about the way the system is, or who are patriots and who are willing to fight. All the people out there, everybody seems to be a little stressed and lost lately. And we ask that you would clearly communicate to them today in the way that means the most to them, in the way that brings love back into their heart and hope and in your strength and the reason to fight on, even when things seem like it's not going in a good direction. I know it's going in your direction. I have faith in you, and so many of us out there have faith in you, not in what we see or hear, but in your very presence, your spirit of leading us, your goodness, your love, and that everything that comes from you is good, which is everything that means something to all of us. We ask that you give us bravery and courage to stand up when we see things that are wrong, and not go along with the crowd. The crowd always goes in the wrong direction. And your remnant that you left here is always, you always leave a remnant who are willing to stand for things regardless what the world tells us. We don't want to be part of the world. We want to be part of your world, that your kingdom come on earth as it is in heaven. That's the kingdom. We want to be part of your kingdom, fighting for the things that you want, because you're good all the time. Just tell us what to do. Sometimes we're a little slow. Sometimes we don't pick up on things right away. Talk nice and loud, because there's so many distractions here on this planet that keep us moving in one direction or the other. We want to be able to have our focus solidly on you, seeing people with your eyes, being able to walk the path that you set before us without stumbling, because you're guiding us, you're carrying us, and you're providing us with everything we need. We're looking forward to the day that Babylon completely falls. We're sick of it. It's annoying to us. You know, I understand that your purposes are being served and such, but I'm going to tell you, we long for heaven. We long for your kingdom come. And we have faith that that day is going to come. In the meantime, we pray for the salvation of every single person out there, day by day, minute by minute, as well as that salvation that lasts through eternity. And we know that you are always good, that you always answer our prayers, and we just have to have faith that they're being answered, whether we think they're being answered or not. They are being answered, and we thank you for that. And we just want to tell you we love you. Thank you for being a friend to us. You've been a wonderful friend to us, and we want to walk with you. We want that relationship with you. We want to not grieve your heart for being, normal human stupid, but actually learning to be like you and walk with you and stand for things that you stand for, and that your spirit is that our spirit and yours is the same. We thank you for everything. In the name of Jesus Christ, our precious Lord and Savior, we pray. And let your favor rest upon Chris mightily this day, and Stanley and Jason and every single person out there, that they know that you are walking with them, and that their faith is entirely on you. In the name of Jesus Christ, we pray. Amen. There we go. So what's the day going to look like here today, Chris?
Well, I got some things I have to do, some stuff, and
you know what my answer is?
What?
Kicking ass and taking names, and picking up and picking up lost sheep along the way. I gotta have a big backpack here. Chuck a few sheep in as I go.
I'm gonna take my shopping cart and start throwing them in.
Yeah, let's start throwing lost sheep in the shopping cart. Just keep moving forward.
Get in.
What's that?
Oh, you're something. Thank you for inviting me. I had a great time. And thanks a lot for everything. It was good to be around good stuff.
Always good. Always good. Doors always open. Everybody here just loves you to pieces, your family. So, and then family never turns back on family.
Oh,
so
nice.
Whether we're good, bad, stupid, or otherwise, family stays together. What's that?
That I can do all those.
So can I. I have made a career of it. So have a great day, everybody. Here's the part of the show. Go to Brandon. Let's see. Oh, here it is. Go to BrandenburgForGovernor.com, because I'm the best non-conceder who has ever not conceded in the history of the United States. And I would take issue with President Donald J. Trump, the rightful president of the United States, and on that issue, if he will ever talk to me, and that would be nice, as well as just let everybody know, God bless you all. God bless all those whom you love, and God bless America. And make it a great day. If you don't have a good example, be ornery enough to be one, okay? Don't be a sheep. Turn away from sheepism. Down with sheep. Let's go out there as a force for God and right this nation. We can do it if we all stand together. One person can't do it. President Trump can't do it alone. He's going to need every single one of us. And let's see how brave everybody is, and look at the world through God's eyes. Sometimes things that look bad really for things that teach us. It's not all bad. God uses all things, good, bad, and otherwise. And so we just gotta be willing to acknowledge that fact. So stay on the line, Chris, a minute. So that now this is where we get to talk when the stream stops. And I wish you could all listen to this, because we have really fun discussions after the cameras are off. But someday I might just like leave the camera on and say, okay, now this is off the record stuff. But Biden's fake. It's not there. He's not there, and I think he's dead. So there's a truth bomb right there.
The lady that you had a discussion with about disguises, did you see the forehead, how it was straight up and rounded, whereas before it kind of went up like this?
Yeah.
Like that, and then like that, and then, completely different face altogether.
Go to Brandenburg for MI on my Telegram channel, and I'll post those Master of Disguises interviews, because I love this woman. She's great. And to see all the videos she's done are wonderful, especially when they walk through the store and they'll change their entire look where you won't even be picked up by them, because they have masks and such that they can literally put on while they're walking, and they'll just go underneath like a clothes bar or something like that. It's crazy stuff. Welcome to Spook World. So we'll talk to you guys about what's that.
You don't want to get caught with that stuff, because you get caught with that stuff, they know what's up. If you don't have that stuff and you do the other type, there's 3 types. If you go ahead and you do the one type that she said, where maybe grow the hair a little longer, or take a curl out of it, make it straight, grow a beard, wear glasses, sunglasses, whatnot, grow a mustache, lose some weight or gain some weight. There's if you're better off doing that type of a disguise as opposed to taking on prosthetics, because that is a risk. It is a risk, because prosthetics you can't talk your way out of.
There you go. Well, at any rate, we're going to go. Donna Brandenburg might even just go try some of the Spook World crap and become spooky. So, spooky. Well, we'll talk to you guys tomorrow. We got John Tater and Courtney Turner on tomorrow. So they're having a good week this week. And I'll be back tomorrow. But go to my Telegram channel. You can talk to me there at any time.
All right.